game, see if we can stomach it. Chat should be set up. Paces, Oklahoma City getting ready to get started in a few minutes.
Are presented by YouTube TV, where your favorite sports and live TV are in one app. There's no TV like YouTube TV. Try it free. And you're brought by 28 years later. In theaters only June 20th.
I don't think the Thunder are going to blow a lead like they did the other night. If they do get one. But you never know. Stranger things have happened. Be huge for Indiana to go up 2-0. That's for damn sure. That's for damn sure. But I think Oklahoma City's... I'll be surprised if Oklahoma City drops this one. They need this one badly. Tip-off should be any minute. And California continues to burn today. Nothing like destroying your city on God's day of rest. I'm so glad I don't live in Cali. I live in a liberal I live in a liberal zone, but thank God it's not California. Where I live, it's like liberal, but fake liberal. They vote liberal, but none of that shit happens in the neighborhoods where the rich people live. There's not too many big protests and shit on the East Coast. They can't have it. It would fuck up the highway system so bad, and they wouldn't even allow it, liberal or not. But out there in California, running around like they own the place. Fucking animals. Bunch of animals. What a bunch of animals running around California right now. What a fucking shithole. Game should be starting any minute. Chet Holmgren had a decent game the other night. Not his greatest. They're going to need a lot more from Chet. I don't like Oklahoma. They're a bunch of dorks. I really don't like them at all. Chet Holmgren's like 7 feet tall, big goofy white kid, sagging his pants, dressed like fucking gay Ken. Trying too hard, Chet Holmgren. Just be yourself, dude. Stop thinking you're fucking black, dressing like your little baby when you're a 7 foot tall white boy. You look like a fucking moron. Talking like you're fucking B-Rabbit. They're interviewing him. He's such a fucking goof. He is a fucking goofball, dude. No doubt about it, C-Dub. I can't stand that dude. What a cornball. He's got his pants sagging, dressed like little baby, but he's fucking 7 feet tall, talking like he's from the hood. What a fucking dog. What a shithole, huh? California's going crazy. They're at it again today. They're fucking still going nuts out there on a Sunday afternoon. I just watched a video of it. You got young girls out there, these little rich white girls, screaming that the cops have little wee-wees, and they're gonna kill the ICE agents. Fucking idiots. We're gonna find out where you live. Fucking total shithole. Total shithole. Please like, share, subscribe. Here we go. Tip off. Oh yeah, big time. They were showing there was bricks dropped off to where the place is too, just like happened in fucking New York. In Minneapolis during George Floyd and BLM. Them motherfuckers know what they're doing.
It's hard to simulate what they do.
See if the Thunder can get it going tonight. Right away. 2-0.
I love Case Boston. Yeah, obviously his attack right there, but defensively, as you see, the pressure that he puts, he gets in that starting lineup because the amount of trust that coach has in him. Pascal Siakam knocks down the three-pointer.
Siakam, big three.
Amazing, Doris.
I think that gentleman right there is the reason you start Casey Wallace, because otherwise the double bigs, Pascal becomes a very tough matchup.
Here comes Chet. Puts up a brick. Over the back, lays it in. I can't stand Chet Holmgren. He's a decent player, but he's a fucking momo. Oh, in and out.
He shot the free ball so well. Jalen Williams on the attack.
Oh, Dort. He can hit them. He hit about 5 of them the other night.
He got plus 17 for Indiana.
Please hit the like button, please. If you're going to hang out.
And on to Turner. They're trying to find Pascal in the post. They're working around. Nembhard finds a little spot, knocks it down.
Nice shot,
One of the
Nembhard.
things that happened in the last game is there were plenty of touches for Indiana in the front court where Hallie doesn't touch it. The beauty is
They wouldn't have won with him anyway at this point.
the ball.
Holmgren again.
They're old.
The spin move. SGA kicks it out. Wallace wide open three.
Move, brick. Out of bounds off Holmgren.
Pacer ball.
So obviously they're trying to deny Tyrese Halliburton at times. So you go pick and roll with your secondary ball handler. Andrew told us, I've been a point guard much of my life. He is very comfortable there.
5-4 Indiana. Nice move, Turner. Loses it.
Ball knocked out of bounds. Still Pacer ball. And that's one of those things.
No, Doris Burke's like
you have
70.
a lane. You think you can attack. As soon as the big put the ball on the floor, they swarm inside the paint. You've got to make quick decisions if you're the Pacers. Good ball denial. Turner able to save it. Eastwood able
Good hustle, Indiana.
Nembhard with 8 to shoot. 5 on the 24. Nembhard finds room again. That one comes up short. And Dort with the rebound.
Here comes SGA. See if he starts flopping right away. Dort nails a 3 from deep. I'm more than an ageist.
After he's got his rhythm, I don't care. You look at his percentage during the season, and that's what you have to believe it is. Throws it out of bounds. Well, we had 1 lead change in game 1. We've had 4 lead changes already here in game 2. And great job.
Indiana with the turnovers again.
In front. But look at Pascal. You've got to contest that shot. Dort's not a great off the dribble player. You've got to contest that shot. Make him think twice. That's too easy for him.
And you can see they are trying to get Pascal on the post as often as they can.
Indiana up by 2. I mean, Oklahoma up by 2. 7-5.
Easton fights over the screen. But now picked up by Turner.
Williams trying to go on Turner, gets by him, loses the ball. Siakam with the steal.
And the Pacers bring it to the front door.
Here's Halliburton.
They had 6
To
players
Nembhard.
score in double figures in game 1. 11th time in the playoffs that's happened. Ball deflected out of bounds.
Out of bounds. Indy will
It's a
keep it.
great balance of scoring.
6 seconds
this
on the
Pacer
shot
team.
clock.
When I was a rookie, we had 7 guys averaging 9 points or more and nobody more than 15 points. That is a formula. It keeps bodies fresh. If you don't know how to key in on one person, any given night that you could beat them. 5-24, Turner, Holmgren guarding him. Turner falls down.
Siakam's got to shoot a 3. Oh, almost got it to go. Tough shot.
Thunder ball.
Thunder's ball. Out of bounds, Indy.
Game 1, you could see how the defense of OKC overwhelmed Indiana, but they really adjusted nicely in that second half.
That was the difference in the game.
8:35 to go in the first. OKC up by 2.
In the second, and they didn't have a single turnover after 9 minutes in the fourth. That aided that comeback.
Gilgeous Alexander pulls up.
Nice shot, Shea. Mid-range, middle of the lane for 2.
38-point game in the opening of this final.
Halliburton hasn't done nothing yet.
Halliburton double team. Siakam off the bounce.
Siakam got fouled.
Turner, back shot.
Nice shot by Turner. Off the glass.
Turner had a very big back shot in the fourth quarter. for
Little
a
Tim
three-point
Duncan
lead.
action.
He had some big plays in that game 1 victory.
Oh, Jalen Williams got away with a double dribble.
Gilgeous
Gilgeous Alexander nails a 3 in the corner. 5-point lead, OKC.
I still think Jalen Williams has to slow down a little bit. There's 2 times where he's almost lost the ball, almost turned over
Nembhard
situations.
knocks down a 3.
So Nembhard is on the right corner.
Like if they're lining up 3-point
12-10
shots,
OKC. 7:30 to go in the
they have made a
first.
mistake. Oklahoma
Williams
State, those corner
drives.
threes killed them.
Blocked by Halliburton.
Defense, Neesmith and Halliburton.
Here comes Siakam.
Siakam drives down the lane.
Contact. No foul called on Holmgren.
Thought he was fouled.
Should have been.
Holmgren with an excellent defensive play.
Holmgren with an excellent foul.
Holmgren again.
He dribbles off his foot out of bounds.
Trying to send
I
it
love
out of
it.
bounds.
Chet
Again,
Holmgren,
just said
I
you gotta
can't
slow
stand.
down a little bit, and then Jalen Williams gets another
Big
turnoff
goof.
block shot here. This is what I was saying. I could see it in his eyes.
Come on,
He's moving
Indiana.
a little too quick. He's trying to be too forceful and aggressive. You don't
Knock
think
these
it's gonna
bozos
work.
off.
Oklahoma City has more
Halliburton,
turnovers than their
no
opponent.
good from outside. Rebound, Thunder.
Off the miss.
SGA, 1-on-4. Loses the ball, turns it over.
Three already for the Thunder.
Halliburton
Just
stole
feels
it.
like they're pressing a little bit. They know how important this game is, and they're trying to win it right now. Like, settle into the game with your decision making.
Nembhard finding some space. Wallace goes.
Nembhard, good draws a foul. Good job.
We'll have our first timeout. 6.5 remaining here. Opening quarter. A 2-point lead for the Thunder.
Thunder up 12-10. Timeout, 6:40 to go in the first. None of them guys from Gonzaga really pan out. Holmgren's had a decent start to his career. Did miss 50 games this year, though. But he's playing in the playoffs. That's all that counts, I guess. Nembhard with 5, Siakam with 3, Turner with 2. Holmgren's got 2 for the Thunder. Dort's got 3. Wallace has 2. Gilgeous Alexander with 5. Both teams with a couple turnovers. Oklahoma's going to have 3 or 4 turnovers already. Three turnovers already, Oklahoma. Holmgren, Williams, and Alexander. Siakam with a turnover for the Pacers. Timeout, 6:40 left to play in the first. Boy, that UFC was pretty good last night. I had fun watching that. Glad the two people that won belts won. It was like the only two fights I got right out of the main card. Or the people, not really got right. But 3 people I wanted to win lost. 2 people I wanted to lose lost. So I did all right. Thunder, I think, need this game big time. They go down 2-0 going back to Indiana. It could be problems. Could be lights out. NHL tomorrow night. We'll definitely be watching that game. Definitely be watching that game. The hockey playoffs have been kick-ass. Game 3 in Florida tomorrow night. Please like, share, subscribe. We cover a lot of different stuff here. Sports, politics, popular culture. Like to hang and shoot the shit. As long as people aren't retarded.
That's just buckets, clutch buckets. This started way back in October throughout the course of the regular season. And here in the playoffs, Tyrese Halliburton on an historic run. Look at the field goal percentage in the final 2 minutes to either tie or take the lead. You know, all talked about was that anonymous poll in the Athletic. He was voted
13 of 15 to tie the game. We'll go ahead in the fourth quarter.
Player of all time.
Oh, listen, forget
For
the
Halliburton.
vote. I've never liked anonymous
Impressive.
sources in any situation. If you want to hide, and my thing, if you
Nemhart missed the free throw.
Halliburton in that moment, then say it with your chest. Don't give me a hidden player that wants to say something.
There's no way that didn't drive him.
Oh my goodness, he says he uses it for fuel all the time. And the great Hubie Brown used to say all the time,
Makes the second
you can't be
1-point
afraid of
game.
failure. You have to be willing to take the shot and make or miss. And he said it, I don't ever think about failure. What I'm thinking
SGA
about
gonna
in those
bring the
moments
ball up.
is simply living in the moment.
Started by
and trying to
Nemhart.
make the right play.
Over to Williams.
Hartstein comes in for OKC.
Back to SGA.
Benedict Mathurin come off for the Pacers again. Both teams with excellent benches. SGA. Mathurin didn't
Oh my God, what a horrible call.
throws in a hand. A committed foul. Nods his head, said yes. So we have our first player admitting to committing a personal foul in these finals. First foul on Mathurin. First free throws for SGA.
Sorry, Mike. Those
Well, at least he didn't hit the deck. At least he didn't flop like he was shot. SGA leads all scorers with 5. Make it 6. 13-11, Oklahoma City. About 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. Got him a little bit on the shoulder or the elbow. Oh, he missed the second. Rebound Toppin.
SGA had 38, but
Indiana trying to get something going quick.
all the things he didn't do in a one-quarter.
Halliburton.
Took ownership right away.
Pick and roll with Turner.
Einstein comes out on Halliburton. Ball deflected.
Turner pulls a 3.
Turner steps back.
Long. Rebound Nebhart.
For the offensive
They
rebound.
swing it to Halliburton.
Halliburton
Fouled.
and a blocking foul before the upward motion. So it's going to be a side out.
Nice job by Halliburton to draw the foul. Nice pump fake.
What I love about him,
Dort caught out of position.
the ability to affect the game by
Gonna be
getting
on the
off it
floor.
quickly, by keeping his dribbles at a minimum, by making sure the guys around him feel great.
Mathurin. Out to Halliburton.
With 6 to shoot.
By the finals logo. Back to Mathurin. Loses it. Stolen.
Falls, but gets it.
OKC.
Tough time right now.
Good D.
Securing the ball.
Here's SGA. Nice pass. Good D by Indiana. Tied up. It's going to go out of bounds off Indiana.
Because Nimhard, when he touched His body was
Please
out of
like,
bounds.
share, subscribe. Hit that like button. Helps with the algorithm. We'll be covering the hockey game tomorrow night.
How handsy Oklahoma City is. We underestimate or don't talk
The
enough
Rat
about
Caruso
how good
comes into the
Indiana's
game.
defense is.
Well, their offense just outshines it too many nights.
Alex Caruso and Rick Carlos says they've been working to improve their defense for a year and a half now. Second half of the season was a top
No
10
doubt, Gary.
The kick out to Caruso. Shot
I
clock at
can't
4.
stand
Puts up
the
three-pointer.
Thunder. I don't like them.
Ball. Here comes Halliburton.
I don't really like the Pacers either, but I like them more than Indiana. I mean, more than Oklahoma.
Pacers 2 for 7 to start from 3.
Halliburton misses a three.
Alexander leans in. Toppin does not go for the fake.
Caruso for three. Good. Little piece of shit.
Boy, Isaiah Hartenstein, as a passer facilitator, is going to have some challenges guarding pick and pop, but he's your best
5-point lead, OKC. Foul on Caruso.
So much is happening here. First and foremost, Shea gets downhill, but he's now in trouble. So watch Hartenstein get himself into the window. And what's his head thinking? Where is my next pass? And a great job, the backfill by Alex. That's 3 guys.
There's a wide
all
open
doing their
guy
jobs.
open. This guy was wide open. It wasn't a great
Picks up
pass.
his second. Stays in the game. First team
We need the right play.
defense, such a critical part of the Thunder D.
Matherin,
Quick catch and shoot.
tough three in the corner in SGA's grill.
Bucket for Matherin.
16-14 OKC. 4:30 to go. First quarter.
Williams trying to get on track. Matherin doing a good job swarming here.
Hartenstein, hands off to Williams. No, over the door.
High arcing 3.
Long three, no good.
And that's a good contest. And on the other end, the corner 3 is where Indiana beats you. You help protect the paint. Tyrese
Matherin
Halliburton
pick and roll with Turner.
passes. Those are tough to guard against.
Turner, wide open three.
Fire.
Short.
Can't connect.
Rebound Caruso.
Free though, where Hartenstein is down in the paint.
Caruso loses it out of bounds. Off Indiana.
And you're going to protect the paint. Watch the paint get pulled in. You see J-Dub in there. And now, look, that's a difficult shot. But from the corner, that's a simple fadeaway if you're looking at the top of the key.
Tough shot by
Catches
Matherin.
it, knocks it down. And smooth jumper there, Mike.
Indiana's taken 13 shots, 9 of them 3-pointers. Isaiah Joe just checks in. Hartenstein against Thomas Bryant, who's seen his first minutes down.
Well, Hartenstein got away with a walk.
Quickly picks up a foul. Hartenstein.
He's going to shoot free throws. Fouled by Turner.
This is the static dynamic if you're Mark, okay? Because Hartenstein as a screener, as a rebounder, and when he's aggressive, I love.
Please like, share, subscribe. We cover all kinds of sports action. Check us out. Hit the like button. I'd appreciate it. Helps me out. Doesn't cost you a buck. All you gotta do is tap that like button. Helps the channel a lot. Hartenstein hits the first.
Shifts to Indianapolis, 8:30 Eastern time for tip-off. And then Friday, Game 4, same thing. Tip-off shortly after 8:30.
Or you can be lazy and lame,
format here in these
I
NBA
guess.
Finals. Hartenstein misses the second. TJ McConnell just
McConnell. Nice rebound.
McConnell, Matherin, Bryant, and Toppin.
OKC up three. 3:40 to go. First quarter. Toppin nails a three.
Three-pointers and some big ones in the fourth quarter. Ties the game.
Get to the body.
Tied up,
You're
17
Chet Holmgren. He
apiece.
just hit 5 threes last game. He's in the corner ready for a catch and shoot.
Gildas Alexander, the floater.
No good. Rebound Indiana. Go, baby, go.
Halliburton fake strides back up top. McConnell.
Toppin.
Aggressive goes inside.
Nice D, Holmgren.
Rejects it out of bounds. Still Pacer ball. Excellent defensive play.
So this is the first minutes of the series where Mark Degno has gone double big, and he can do it because Obi and Bryant are on the floor. So what does the double big give you? Shed,
What up,
we said
JoJo?
we have to
Salute.
feel you at the rim tonight. Send that back, young son.
Bricklayers and ball shorts, coaching from the side of
Timeout. Game tied at 17, 3:12 to go in the first quarter. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Indiana OKC, game 2. Decent first quarter, much better than last game. Indiana had so many turnovers last game. How they ever came back and won is besides me. Incredible comeback by Indiana. Indiana's got to feel pretty damn good. They played about as bad as they could have played in game 1 and found a way to win. SGA dropped almost 40 points in a loss. Shot almost 50% from the field. And they blew a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter. I know Indiana can play better than they played last game. I don't expect Oklahoma City to blow a lead like that again late. But not good by the Thunder at all. That was a huge, awful way to lose a game. Awful, awful way to lose a game that should have never been lost. What up, Kenny? .312 to go in the first, 17 apiece. TV timeout. Tomorrow night we'll be covering the NHL. Game 3 in Florida. That should be exciting. That hockey playoff's been amazing. Amazing. Every game's going to overtime. I'm excited for the hockey playoffs. I don't even really care who wins. It's just been fun to watch. I'd rather see Edmonton win a little bit more, but just super fun to watch those games lately. Jurassic World Rebirth. That looks pretty sick. How many more Jurassic Parks can they make? They're just going to make them forever? Thanks, Joe. I appreciate you, buddy. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. It's fun to hang out and watch a game. It's not like people get together anymore. That's why I do it. I don't like going to bars too much, so nice to hang out and watch games with some of my subscribers at least. Shoot the shit a little bit. Indiana inbounds. Tied up.
Are depth in this league. Backcourt violation. Halliburton.
Bad turnover, Halliburton.
Third turnover for Indiana.
And look, this is the pressure. We've already seen balls. Look at where they're picking up. That pickup point
His heels
is
hit the
forcing
back
him to
of the
retreat to an uncomfortable spot. You rarely
center
ever
line.
see a backcourt like that. Hartenstein.
SGA kicks it out. Joe for 3. No good.
They're now 3 from 8.
Here comes
from
Connell.
distance. TJ McConnell pushing the pace as he always does. Caruso right with him.
Popping over to Halliburton. 3.
Fires three-pointer.
Splash. Cash money. Tyrese Halliburton's got Indiana up 3. 2:35 to play in the first. Nice move. Tough take by Joe. Nice lay-in by Oklahoma.
Halliburton surveys. Now drives. Spins, gets inside. Pull up, jump shot off the mark.
Bad shot.
Under the rebound.
Here comes SGA. Kicks it out. Holmgren. Pump fake. Puts up a 3. Gets it to go.
On the three. Now they say a two-pointer. Tip is on the line.
They called it a 2. 21-20 OKC. And they're going to foul Toppin.
To the basket on the pass. Not the penalty yet.
1:56 to play in the
It's
first.
about knowing your own scouting report. He's a three-point shooter. So what does he do? Cuts back door and gets that tough layup. And here, look, my therapist, Jack Burton, always said, hey, if you get
Your
going, get a
therapist.
layup. If you're coming off a bad game, get a layup first. That's what Chet did.
Your
Now he
therapist.
steps back. That
Need a
three's a little
therapist
bit
to play
easier.
basketball, dude?
They can't pay your therapist enough.
You know. Need a sports psychologist to play basketball.
And the corner, and hard. And the ball. Well contested there from Caruso.
I bet LeBron has 3 or 4.
Hartenstein, Isaiah Joe. And Joe can't get it.
Miss. Oklahoma City up 1. Fucking, I need a sports therapist. It's so hard playing basketball and being a millionaire. I don't think I can handle it. Fucking idiot.
Trying to get some contact, wouldn't go.
I knew I didn't like Richard Jefferson for a reason.
Eastman, catch, fire. Holmgren, in traffic, got a poke away for a foul.
Oh, that's a tough foul.
Thomas Bryant's going to be whistled for his second. Ryan, a midseason trade. And an excellent game in the clincher in the conference final.
I mean, he's complaining about that.
He complained about his first one.
He got him a little bit.
That was an easy foul.
It was aggressive, but he didn't really hit his arm.
Final minute, first quarter.
That's GA.
GA gets inside,
Kicks it out. Holmgren for 3.
lines it up.
Knocks it down. Chet Holmgren, 7 points
6 total in game 1.
in game 1. I mean, in the first quarter of game 2. OKC by 4. 35 seconds to go in the first. McConnell.
Now looking.
Oh, he just crossed Holmgren over. Missed the jump shot. SGA chugs across half court. Pulls a 3. In and out. Out of bounds, Indiana.
They're just putting so much more pressure on. They got waxed on the glass in game 1. These double minutes have been good.
And this is what we talk about. I said once Chet gets that layup, if you come off a game where you struggle, get something to the basket. Get a layup, get a free throw, get something easier.
You need a sports psychologist to tell you that.
Knocking down his
Take layups, it's a better shot.
Russo. That's Holmgren. Holmgren on the attack right from the start. Layup is good. Beautiful drive.
Holmgren having a good first quarter.
Holmgren's got
26-20
9.
OKC. Indiana's going to get the last shot.
Off the bounce. Looking for a spot. Kicks it out. Siakam.
Oh, what an idiot.
Off the time. That will knock out.
The shot went, he took too long.
The ball was in his hands. And the first quarter comes to an end.
OKC up 6 at the end of 1.
Game 2. That Holmgren looking to bounce back from a subpar game 1. Only had 6 points.
Lame-ass Chet Holmgren with 9 points in the first quarter. Yuck. Makes me want to puke. I just don't like this Thunder team. I don't know why. I just don't like them. They make me want to puke. They're corny as fuck. They come off as corny to me. More movie trailers to movies nobody wants to go see. The one movie I want to see right now, movie I want to see is coming out on fucking Netflix. Or not Netflix. There's so many fucking streaming platforms, I can't even think of the name of it. Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out. It's the only movie I want to see. You can't even go to the theater and watch it. I would have went to the theater to watch that one. I wouldn't have bought shit but a ticket, but is it on Netflix? Is that what it's fucking on? I think that's what it's on. I'm not paying for fucking Netflix. Gotta pay for fucking Netflix to watch a movie instead of releasing it in the movie theater. I wonder how much money they gave Adam Sandler for that. I'm sure he got paid as a motherfucker. Happy Gilmore 2 probably would have done well in the box office.
Brought to you by Burger King and Chet Holmgren. Look, what do you do if you're coming off a tough game? You get downhill. If you've heard you don't succeed, be aggressive again. And now all of a sudden you've taken a deep breath. The basket looks a little bit bigger. You knock down a jumper, and then you keep going downhill.
Yeah, you talk to your sports psychologist. That'll get you going. Does he? I wouldn't doubt it, Joe. It just kind of sucks. Like, every movie I want to go see ends up coming out on something else. And there's some movies, like, especially if it's like a sci-fi movie, you definitely want to go see it at a theater. That's what makes the experience fun. Like, I never, like, all those Transformer movies, I went to the theater for every one of them and watched it in 3D. That's like those movies are really fun to go watch, especially in 3D. Even the last one that came out that was kind of corny, it was still fun to watch in the theater. I liked all those Transformer movies. I'm a sucker for Transformers. Probably because I liked Transformers when I was a kid.
Playing with pace. I think we can do a better job of getting into the paint and spraying up.
They're playing their two big man lineup for the first time. How does that affect
It's a totally different experience.
Just gotta probably box out a little bit more on the board.
It's way more fun to watch it in the theater.
And stay in front.
Andrew, good luck. Thank you, sir. Thanks. Guys, back to you. All right, George. They're only shooting 32% from the field. Nice spin move inside.
Nice play.
Off the bench.
Wiggins, nice move. OKC up 8.
Both these teams again have relied on such excellent role players.
Siakam,
Siakam up top.
Nebhart.
Indiana's got to answer quicker. You can feel a timeout coming. This pressure from OKC.
Nice job, McConnell. Open in the corner. Nice shot. 3-pointer.
B.J. McConnell with his first points.
28-23. 10:50 to go in the second. That should be offensive. Wow, they called a Balkan foul. I don't know how that wasn't a charge. Was he moving?
In the first quarter, so Mark takes him out, gets his rest. At his
Oh, I
best,
don't
his
know.
fingerprints are all
That's a
over
tough
both
ball.
ends of the floor. Secondary playmaker, using his athleticism.
He
to
got there a
finish
little
at the
late.
cup. He loves to go left if you force him right.
Got there a tad bit
At
late.
his best defensively, he's taking on a tough matchup. He's blocking shots.
Williams,
He's in the passing.
3-point play.
He got caught up in being 6 for 19.
Oklahoma City back up
Game
7.
Not affecting it in other areas.
Up by
Let's
8.
see him
Excuse me.
tonight.
The lead is 8.
Turner, nice crossover. Mathurin. Pull-up jumper. No good. Not a great shot. Caruso running the floor. Goaltending Indiana. Indiana's going to call a timeout soon.
And the lead is up to 10.
Carlisle's not stupid.
So Shea's off the floor. He becomes your secondary ball handler. This is the result, Mike, of what you just touched on. That was a great push-ahead pass, getting them out in transition.
Oklahoma City gets another bucket.
Important is to this team.
Indiana's going to call timeout.
Being counted on.
Here's a turnover. Here's Caruso.
Caruso drives past.
That's charging.
And an offensive foul call on Caruso. Nemhard stepped in and tried to draw the
Good. I can't stand Caruso.
Carlisle has Caruso
He's a
certainly
good ball player. I can't stand
I
him.
feel a possible review coming. That was a little bit more on the shoulder. It wasn't square on the chest.
Who told you that you feel a review coming?
Jalen Williams
Your
is telling him
therapist?
to not challenge.
Richard?
He's telling them to save the challenge. So you got players over
Richard
there giving
Jefferson.
information
My
to the
therapist
bench.
told me they should challenge.
What Paul was upset with is that it took them a while, like they felt taking too much time to
Fucking
get down
dork.
to give Dayton time to consider
Nice
the
move.
rebound.
Turner got fouled. No call.
Shot in the paint.
Lays it up and in. Come on, Indy. Need to stop.
Wiggins up top. Hartenstein.
Good D. McConnell steals it.
Hartenstein. McConnell will drive inside. Matherin layup is
Nice
good.
job. Indiana,
Arizona
4 straight
connection there.
4
I'm not
straight
sure if you
points.
know that, Mike, but if you get a live ball turnover, that is death for either team.
Come on, defense.
I'm sure you will let us know.
Caruso, 3. No good. Hartenstein bullies. Turner.
Shot though. Williams tip is no good. McConnell
Good
saves
hustle,
it.
McConnell. What a play.
Terrific hustle.
Landed on his face, too.
Both teams. Nimhard somehow hangs on.
Pull it, McConnell.
They leave McConnell open.
Oh, in and out.
Wiggins grabs it.
McConnell's hurt. He went down hard, saving that ball.
17 of their 27 shots.
How many times are you going to let Hartenstein set a moving screen? Williams makes a jump shot.
Indiana.
Timeout, Indiana. OKC up by 8. 8:41 to go in the first. I'll be right back. I got to use the bathroom.
Miracle? Not yet. Oh, there's still time. Let's see what you got. Impressive. I'm fearless.
Relapse is a lifetime.
Anything else, Professor?
Try fast. F1 the movie. Rated PG-13. In theaters and IMAX. June 27th.
Since 1983, Nissan has been assembling award-winning vehicles for you, right here in America. And we're committed to keeping our lineup affordable and free from new tariffs. That's why we've lowered MSRP on our best-selling Rogue and Pathfinder. So you can get the car you want, at the price you want, knowing Nissan is here for you.
Now get 0% APR financing for 60 months on the 2025 Nissan Rogue or Pathfinder.
Wait, I thought Venmo was for paying people.
Yeah, and for everything else.
Everything.
Everything.
Here they come, yo. Here they come.
You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo this, because this is where it's at. Hey!
Now you can Venmo everything.
Hungry?
Get the Venmo debit card. Get up to 15% cash back.
With bugs, the struggle is real. That's why you need Zevo Traps. Zevo attracts and traps bugs 24/7 using a blue and UV light with no odor and no mess for effortless protection. Zevo, people friendly, bug deadly. Work out. Work that. Push that. Pull that. Run that. Pump that. Push that. Work out.
Oh, yes. Let's find this game. There it is. Okay.
Wish it were easy to find the games you love?
Come on. Sports Zaddy. Get Team 62 is happening.
YouTube TV has your favorite sports and live TV in one app.
Ralph
So you can
Nader,
easily
that's
watch the
funny.
games you want. Jason, you still here?
Sorry, Rick. West Coast games.
The former Sonics hot missed shots tonight must not have put the girls they got crushes on for the backstage list. Oh, yeah, never mind. All right. Josh Giddey's not in town anymore, Ralph. The Giddler. Josh Giddey was there the last game, that's why.
legends, team, league, and partner executives on hand to dedicate the space complete with new STEM technology and furniture. These efforts highlight the NBA's commitment to
I love
supporting
getting a
the
good
community
comment
through NBA
and not being
Cares
trolled.
and using the power
It's
of
so
basketball
nice.
to bring people together. One of the great things about this finals matchup, the fan bases of both teams just off the charts. Now, of course, we're going to see that in games 3 and 4. Pretty good atmosphere, though, at the home of the Pacers back in Indianapolis with the watch party. And you see some of the numbers in the early going, just over 3 minutes gone by here in the second. Henrich Williams, who only played 39 seconds in game 1. It's a
8-point lead, OKC.
Mark Dayton not afraid.
8:30 to go in the second quarter.
Even after not playing much, Siakam pulls back 5 of the 24.
No good. Siakam, wide open jumper. Couldn't knock it down. Here comes Chet.
Good transition defense from Indiana.
Chet, little baby Holmgren.
Drive shot blocked by Siakam.
Good D by Siakam.
Throws it ahead to Toppin. Athlon walks back beyond the arc.
Because the Thunder aren't as good as everyone thinks they are.
Now drives on the 7-footer. Toppin the fake. One dribble. Fires away. Can't get it.
Toppin misses. He was hot the other night.
That's where that size. You don't have Chet Holmgren on the floor late last game. He's able to clean
Oh,
up.
Chet Holmgren just got away with a travel.
Somehow holds on. And gets it to Wiggins.
He gets away with a couple every game.
Sets, fires, hits a three-point.
Tough shot.
Wiggins' second bucket off the
Big
bench.
shot by Wiggins.
The largest lead here in the first half as Halliburton set to check back in.
11-point lead. Another missed shot.
Williams to Williams.
Williams running.
And a
Fouled. Smart foul by McConnell.
Two shots coming up for Jalen Williams.
2 free throws for Williams coming up.
Again, Jalen Williams starting to affect this game in a lot of different areas. We've seen him as a primary. Now he's leaking out in
Good foul.
transition. Good hard playoff foul. And how about Chet? He's going to end up on his backside. Doesn't panic. Nobody
Chet.
dives on the basketball. Nemhart's trying to deny, and instead, nice easy pass. And Wiggins will get a 3 out of it.
What's your name? Chet.
Williams, whose parents are Air Force veterans, grew up in a house where obviously discipline.
Wonder if his real name's Chester, the squirrel molester. What's Chet short for? Chesterton?
His mom came to school, took him out of school.
Chet. What would Chet be? It's just Chet. What's up,
Had the
Marky
same
Mark?
coach, Mark Nold. He was my junior, or
Chesterton,
he was my
get
JV
over
coach,
here.
was also his coach in high school.
And he credits mom and dad that discipline for his success as an athlete. Said he's so fortunate.
Fucking
His
Chet
parents took him to
Holmgren.
all his games. This one
Like
of the most
Holmgren's fucking
supportive
grandson.
13-point lead for OKC. Ben Shepherd seeing his
Here's
first
Obi.
top on the drive.
Nice reverse land. Couldn't get it to go. Was halfway down. Bad break. 13-point lead for the Thunder. Holmgren slams one home. And Carlisle's going to take another timeout.
Another 9-0.
If was a spliff, we'd all be high, Ralph.
Doesn't get a lot of time, Chet. And there's just nobody that's going to get to the big fella in time. Just throw it down, big fella.
Chet
Throw it
Holmgren.
down.
Chet, little baby. You ever see that dude dress? Oh my God. I thought Tatum was bad.
Why can't we put everything that we have?
Well, Indiana was down big in game 1. There's one thing we know about Indiana. If they're close and it's late in the game, they can come back and win. What's new, Mark? O'Malley porked you, man. He was fighting all right until round 2 game. He had a halfway decent first round. Marab's just too good of a wrestler for him. Wrestling's tough. I've noticed. I wrestled a bit and did a little jujitsu and shit. It's like some people just like don't learn wrestling. You either got it or you don't, kind of thing. I haven't seen people that like suck at wrestling become good wrestlers. You kind of gotta like be cool with wrestling. If you don't like wrestling, you're never gonna want to learn it. That's part of the problem. I'm Soup Kayla Harrison won. I'm so happy for her. Her winning UFC last night, winning the belt, made the whole thing for me. She's had such a rough life. She's been through a lot. I would love to interview her if I ever got the chance, man. I know I'm talking stupid, but if I ever got the chance, I would love to interview her and hear her story. I know some of it. I don't know all of it. She did an interview years ago with Steven Crowder about what happened to her. I can't find it anywhere. I didn't really look super hard. I'm going to start trying to look for it tomorrow. Her story's incredible. Had some really bad shit happen to her. I'm glad she became champ last night. Here we go, back to the action. Pace is down by 15. Almost halfway through the second quarter. Chet Holmgren's already got 11 points, had only 6 points in game one. That's a bright spot for Oklahoma City. He did not play well in game one, that's true. Here we go. Halliburton taking it up.
Stopped in his injuries. As you said it the other night, he's just scratching the surface. He's going to be a star.
His ability to stretch from three, put it on the deck, and then do this.
Popping.
Being able to guard.
To Neesmith.
Neesmith goes right at him.
Tough shot, Neesmith.
That's a tough move.
Over Holmgren. Lead back to 13.
Alexander, during that whole run for OKC, he was on the bench.
SGA back in.
Holmgren fakes, pulls up, jump shot. And Neesmith grabs
What a bum. Wide open 12-footer, couldn't hit it.
Halliburton, dangerous pass. Poked away by Wiggins.
Awful pass by Halliburton. Stupid. He hasn't played well tonight, really, either.
Hendricks Williams getting some important minutes here in Game 2 of the finals, a 30-year-old vet. Gildas Alexander jumper.
Tough shot. Tough shot.
And that's as good as you can do.
It's a good shot by SGA. That's his bread and butter. Right around the free throw line.
Halliburton with the 7-footer on him. Holmgren moving his feet beautifully. Shepard lost it out of bounds.
Another turnover, Indiana.
The turnover. That's 6 turnovers for Indiana.
Turnovers have killed him this whole series.
He is squared up defensively. He's trying not to give up an angle. He's staying in front, moving his feet. Closes once
Good
he
D
gets
by
a little
Mathurin.
bit off the body.
Better
of Shea.
shot by
But
SGA.
listen, tough contested twos with a guy who's 6'6", and you don't foul him, critical.
And DB, he learned his lesson. The time before he got the foul. Stay down and just contest.
Gildas Alexander off the bounce, gets inside, double clutch.
Oh, how's that an and one? No one touched him.
Three-point play. The lead up to 17.
No one even touched him.
Just takes his time. He's so shifty. We talk about his mid-range.
What, did he get him on the
but it's
back?
also how shifty
little bit?
he is getting into the paint with the finish. Here, going around Neesmith, tracking the foul.
Oh my God, what a
off the
ticky-tack
glass.
foul.
That's just simple basketball from Shea.
17-point lead, Oklahoma.
Of course, the MVP of the regular season. As Williams and Alexander, a great 1-2 punch for the Thunder.
Loud City.
Mathurin picks up his second foul.
That's what they call Oklahoma City. Loud City.
11 points for Gildas Alexander, 11 for Holmgren. Nobody in double figures early for Indiana. Neesmith hesitates.
Neesmith hasn't done much either.
Short now on Neesmith. Drives inside, the shot is off
Stupid shot.
And they're not even turning this team over. They're just collectively playing excellent defense and finishing with the defensive rebound.
Nice move. Wiggins knocks down a three.
Second three. It's a 21-point lead.
Oklahoma City looks good in the second quarter.
Turner inside.
Another turnover.
Another turnover.
Oklahoma City on a 17-2 run.
Whistle and a foul, blocking foul on the trip from Siakam.
And another foul on Indiana. SGA
There's
foul.
nothing like a crossover that can make your feet go one way and your soul go another. And then Wiggins knocks down the deep three.
Did I tell you the therapist that?
No, he knows. He's the one that's
Right. Talk to your therapist about that too.
Gilgis Alexander inside.
Nice lay-in. Awful defense. Indiana calls another timeout.
Here in game 2.
Carlisle's pissed. (19-2) run in the last 4:50. 52-29 OKC. I had a feeling this was going to happen tonight. Oklahoma City needs this game desperately. They can't go to Indiana. Indiana down 2-0. Indiana's turnovers are killing them again. They got like 6 or 7 turnovers in this quarter alone. How many do they got for the game already? They had 26 the other night. Oh, they got 8. 7 came in the second quarter. Awful. Awful. I had a feeling Oklahoma City was going to run wild tonight. I wasn't going to do this game, and I was sitting around bored. I said, fuck it. We'll check it out. SGA already got 13, and an offensive foul and another turnover on Indiana.
That's 8 turnovers. 5 of them here in the second. And look at that run. The Thunder have done that all season long.
You know Indiana has enough in their resume that this game is not
Pick and roll.
how OKC
SGA
handles this
turns it
point
over.
from here on out will dictate
Here comes Indiana.
With the steal, the drive, and the
Nice job by Nemhart. Stops the bleeding.
That's great balance.
Thanks, Joe.
Because Dort looked like initially he was going to go up and try to take a charge, then pulls his body back. Great balance from Nemhart.
Gilgis Alexander, a little careless, but Williams right there to save it.
Better than destroying my city like they are in LA.
Fake strides, crossover, pullback, jump shot.
Ooh, good D. Siakam.
Henrik Williams to Dort, back to Hartenstein.
Wiggins
Wiggins, three-pointer.
misses a 3. Another offensive rebound, OKC.
Again, the hustle from Williams. Wiggins somehow saves it. No, backcourt violation. Gilgis Alexander had not established
Indiana better
himself
wake
in the
up.
front court.
They look slow.
Follow every unforgettable moment of the NBA Finals in the NBA app. Download the app today.
Indiana's playing sloppy, uninspired basketball right now.
All the drama.
They had a great first quarter.
Remember, Henrik Williams, he did this in game 1 of the Western Conference
Second
Finals.
quarter.
He came in, he changed the energy. He does that here as well.
I think Indiana's only scored 6 points in the second quarter.
Mark Daigneault loves him and trusts him. Andre Caruso.
Can't score 6 points a quarter.
Siakam gets inside.
Nice play, Siakam, and one.
Siakam, his second field goal.
think it's going to go against Holmgren.
Three-point play.
It's amazing the different spots on the floor you can put this guy in to let him be effective and cook as a one-on-one scorer. That time he's on the right side of the floor, free throw line and down, so slithery. I mean, look at that. The
Indiana trying to get this lead down to like 10 before the half.
And then bring it back to finish.
I would imagine.
See with
That's what I'd be trying to do if I was Carlisle.
Siakam's their leading scorer in the playoffs.
Try and cut this lead to 10.
He's number 18.
3 minutes, 38 seconds to go.
Playoff leaders in scoring.
And that's why there's so much
52-34,
fun.
OKC.
So many players have contributed to late game heroics. Neesmith, Nimhart.
Ooh. Nemhart's playing well.
Doris, what you said earlier.
He's been the best player for Indiana
OKC defense, the best defense
tonight.
in the NBA. But Indiana is without question the most important.
Almost a steal.
Nemhard and Neesmith are elite.
SGA to Holmgren. 3. Short. Nemhart with a rebound.
Siakam tries to spin.
Nice job, Siakam lays it up again.
That's 2 buckets in a row. You got to keep trying
Get
to make
Siakam
inroads. You
going.
know the integrity of Indiana. Despite the score, they're going to stay
Oh,
strong.
Holmgren gets away with a moving screen.
Jalen Williams wide open.
Turner, nice rebound.
Grabs the board.
If you're OKC, you've done so much work. You can't let go of the rope with 3 minutes to
Neesmith,
go.
big 3.
He's hit right on cue.
52-39.
10 quick points, and it's right back to 13.
Good run by
So
Indiana.
This team plays the exact same way.
Timeout, OKC.
OKC
2:40 to go in the second quarter. 22-point lead down to 13 in under a minute. 52-39 OKC. Timeout. Thunder. 2:40 to go in the second. So many leads have been blown in the playoffs, it's wild. A 20-point lead is nothing in the modern NBA. With the rules and the way they play and the threes and the awful turnovers. Lack of situational basketball is awful. Like Indiana again tonight in the second quarter. 8 fucking turnovers. Or 7 turnovers already. Had only 1 turnover the whole first quarter. Find themselves down by 21 or 23. They get their shit together, they're right back in it. It's tough to watch. What up, Jet Ski?
Of course, Burke was part of the last time the Thunder made the finals back in 2012. They lost in 5 games to Miami. Scott Brooks was the coach. Of course, Durant, Westbrook, Harden.
52-39. OKC with the rock.
SGA on the drive, goes right at Siakam.
Nice play, SGA.
Beautiful move from Gilgeous Alexander. He's got 15.
Now, what we said before that last time out, these last 2.5 minutes, finishing the quarter.
Siakam just got packed like a bastard, no call.
Keep that foot on the gas pedal.
Wallace almost walked.
Three-pointer.
Caruso knocks down a 3. Fucking referees haven't given the Pacers
7
anything.
of 18 from three-point range.
Nice steal.
By Gilgeous Alexander.
That was a nice steal.
Williams to Wallace.
Caruso, another one. No good. Halliburton with the rebound.
Hope to get away from Holmgren.
Halliburton got to get going. He hasn't done shit.
Siakam height advantage on Wallace.
Only got 3 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Finally, Indiana gets a foul call.
Well, earlier tonight, National Basketball Coaches Association presenting the 2025 Chuck Daly Lifetime Achievement Award. Don Nelson, Nelly's here, one of 2 coaches in NBA
No
history.
shit, he looks
to lead
all right
3
for his
teams
age.
to at least 250 wins, 31 seasons as an NBA
Don
head
Nelson.
coach. Playoffs 18 times, second
OG.
all time in both wins
Plays for the Celtics.
Quite the character.
Oh, he's definitely a character. When I had an opportunity to talk to Devin Harris last night, and they lost to that famous We Believe team led by Don Nelson, and they said they changed their starting lineup before the series even started, and that has always haunted Dallas fans, and that was based off of a fear.
Oh man, Siakam missed the free throw.
Team was able to accomplish.
And a champion with the Boston Celtics. As a player, great to see him here and get the recognition of life devoted to basketball.
He doesn't seem to want to leave Hawaii very often, but a Lifetime Achievement Award will do it.
I wouldn't leave Hawaii if I was him either.
Now with 9 points, minute and a half remaining here
Lead
in the
back to
second.
17.
The Thunder had one of those active runs. Pacers trying to fight back.
Halliburton's got to wake up. Awful stop, man.
He's been so good fighting over screens, but
He
Williams
should have stepped in and had some help on defense there. He did nothing.
Williams and Holmgren, big bounce back first half after a struggle in game one. Halliburton gets into the paint. Nice ball movement. Neesmith can't get at the ball.
Nice move by SGA. Wow.
Crossover, moves from the ground, the jumper.
Couldn't get it to go.
Taken by Siakam.
That was a nice move. Here's Siakam. 40 seconds to go. Second quarter. And my stream wants to buffer like a motherfucker. Of course. And Nemhat's going to get fouled.
Offensive rebound. They can now hold it for the final shot. Nemhard draws the foul. Shot won't go, but he'll shoot two. With 4.1 remaining.
Screen ain't working all of a sudden. Have to reset it at halftime.
Even though the turnovers aren't 20,
One of my
you can see
streaming
them
apps
sped
isn't
up.
even working tonight for nothing.
Having trouble, and you want to give credit to OKC's defense. But after that second half, we know that Indiana can handle the pressure, and they're just not doing a very good job so far.
Mason Wallace picking up his third foul. And of course, the big three for OKC all.
SGA 15, Holmgren 11, Williams
It's not
9.
surprising that both Chet and Jalen Williams, we've seen this throughout the course of the
Wiggins, I
playoffs.
think,
Tough
has
game
9
one
too.
night, the maturity. Let's remember,
He's got a few
they're
threes.
both third-year
Caruso's
players
made a
with
few shots.
extraordinary responsibility on their shoulders.
Nemhat makes the second.
Won't go. And that will end the first half.
18-point lead at the half. Yikes. Pacers better wake up. They were down big in...
Two of the finals. Halftime. An 18-point OKC lead.
They were down big in game one, too, though. They trailed by quite a bit a few times. I wouldn't count them out yet. Chet Holmgren finally showing up.
Majestic. Recreational. At Progressive, we treat your outdoor vehicles like the noble creatures they are. And when you bundle them with...
They still tearing up California, huh, Jet? I watched a little bit of it today. I saw it for a few minutes. All hell
Down to
breaking loose.
California, President...
Only in California.
Bruce's take on that.
I don't really like committing to things. I'm a scared.
So glad I don't live on the West Coast. I'll take the liberal stupidity over here any day over that shit. La migra, no mas. Fucking nuts.
The freeway, the burning of the cars.
They're on the freeway
graffiti
burning cars
of the
again today.
buildings, and
Fucking animals.
there's a large police response.
Burning American
not only
flags.
just LAPD, but the Federal
Disgusting.
Protective Police, and also mounted enforcement for LAPD, which we have not seen before.
And Bruce, have you seen, so we're zooming back into those Waymo cars, have you seen something like this before? And what are the consequences of seeing these EV fires?
Well, you know, it was interesting. I saw a line of the Waymo vehicles over by Alfera Street, and I was wondering what they were doing, but then I remember they're driverless, so they're kind of stuck in confusion, and then they became easy targets for some of the agitated protesters to burn and torch.
Crazy.
Right, and we talked to Tim a little bit earlier as well. He said that the protesters, they are agitated, and they have a lot of resentment toward, I mean, it's not just what's going on right now, but even toward the media as well. What do you think?
They have a lot of
if you could
resentment
put yourself
for what?
in those protesters'
Being in
shoes,
America? Leave.
like the minds of them. What do you think is going on right now? And as we head into the evening hours, you think that things are starting to calm down and they're starting to cool off? What's your prediction on that?
Don't look like it.
You know, like I said, I believe this is a lull in the fight. I think once the sun goes down, you're going to see more protesters come back. You're going to see a takeover of the freeway again. And you're going to see more, we'll call it anarchism, if you will, for lack of a better word. These people are
Beat
just
the
not
fuck out of
happy
them and
with
get them off the
media,
highway.
with the police, with anything, and everybody's being lumped into one large group.
Right, and right now we are looking at a live view. I believe this is live. I don't think this is video from earlier. This is earlier. Okay, this is video from earlier on the right, but on the left, I see it down there. It says earlier. On the left, this is the live view, and it looks like some law enforcement. They're making their way toward an area. I'm not sure which direction they're going to, which street this is exactly, but we're getting a wider view. They're heading down the street and interested to see what their next move is going to be. We panned away from the Waymo. I think that scene is kind of just playing out on its own. The fire's just going to continue to keep running, but it's interesting to see what is the next step right now.
Yeah, you know, I think law enforcement is regrouping, meaning they're getting some additional personnel that are going off shift, and those that are coming on, they're being fully briefed. They're being suited up, as you will, with equipment and resources for the rest of the night. And you'll see them move into those areas to relieve some of those day shift personnel.
Hey Bruce, we are seeing what looks like those flashbangs continue to go off.
Keep blowing them up.
We can't spot where the officers would be.
Need tear gas.
Have you been watching? Are you seeing flashbangs, or are these fireworks being set off by members of the demonstration?
You know, at this point, I believe they're fireworks because I've been looking at some different coverages, and I don't see the officers deploying those less than lethal weaponry. So at this point, I believe it's fireworks.
Okay. Western lethal weaponry?
And we're
Give me
now
a
looking
break.
at the mounted officers from the LAPD. A lot of people at our station, Bruce, had the same reaction once the horses were being moved in to confront some of these demonstrators, just worried about the horses themselves. I'm
worried about the horses. The people at the station are worried about the horses, not the police officers or the people acting like idiots. They're worried about the horses. Only in California.
The experience you have with these, with the mounted, we do see projectiles being thrown at these officers here, and they are firing back less than lethal projectiles. But the training that goes into these mounted
Fire them up.
horses to
shoot
deal
rubber
with these
bullets like you're
situations,
going
we
out of
wouldn't
style.
think that they would be suited to go into a situation like this. As we're watching this,
Get this fucking
one
idiot
person
in a
stick
car.
their head out of a car, and
There's a group of people in that car too.
Okay, let's see if we can swing the helicopter around, because this is the first kind of action we've seen in probably about an hour.
Hopefully whoever's in that car isn't some weirdo trying to run over
So I will
police.
get back to that question again. The training of the horses, Bruce, in a little bit as we watch this play out. But I guess we can answer
Fucking
right now.
morons.
Just the fact that they're able to handle loud situations like this. with
Destroy
protesters in
America.
the face.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, the horses and the The mounted officers go over hundreds of hours of training. The horses are accustomed to loud noises, flashbangs, light, basically loud everything. The horses are very well maintained on that. The horses are also protected with their face, with a mask of plexiglass, and also the mounted officers are protected.
Look how trashed
They're
the
also
fucking street is.
supported by officers on the ground too.
Cops just throwing fucking
The mounted units are an awesome tool to clear crowds. I've used
ammo tubes
them,
away.
only second to motorcycle officers. They're very, very effective.
Bruce, can you tell us usually
I'd be
when
using tear
do
gas.
they make the call to bring the horses in? Like, how bad does the situation have to be?
Shoot some tear gas at them
I
rioters.
was kind of surprised that
This
we
isn't a
didn't see them
protest. This is a
until
riot.
now, meaning, maybe an hour ago.
It's
They're
going to turn
going
into a riot.
to
They already burned cars and shit.
Law enforcement, and they do clear crowds. People do not want to stand in front of a horse that outweighs them by a couple 100 pounds. So I was kind of surprised we didn't see them, but now they're being used, and they're being used.
We'll go back to the basketball game. It's at halftime right now.
Obviously, I don't have much training when it comes to just knowing law enforcement and when they use the horses. You explained that really well, how it helps with clearing the crowds. But I'm curious, why haven't they moved further in toward the crowd right now that they are on the horses, if they can clear the crowds?
It seems like they're just trying to maintain an operational area.
Because they're idiots.
I'm surprised they haven't been used to clear so that LA City Fire can move in and put these vehicles out. But I think they're very content in just letting them burn, as they do have lithium batteries in them, which presents a whole other...
Yeah, that's how liberals operate. Just like when the whole state was on fire, they let it burn. What's another couple cars on fire? Who gives a shit? Fucking libtards.
Stand by for a moment. There is reaction coming in from around the country and around the world. There is a post from Ileana Garcia. She is the co-founder of Latinas for Trump, who writes, I want to put myself on the record, Garcia writes, says, this is not what we voted for. I have always supported Donald Trump through thick and thin. However, this is unacceptable and inhumane. I understand the importance.
Well, they're all going to turn on Trump now. Here we go.
Witnessing are arbitrary measures to hunt down people who are complying with their immigration hearings, in many cases with credible fear of persecution claims, all driven by a Stephen Miller-like desire to satisfy a self-fabricated deportation goal. This undermines the sense of fairness and justice that the American people value. Again, that is the co-founder of Latinas for Trump, Ileana Garcia. And so
she used Trump to get in a position of power, and now she's turning on him.
Which has been the site of unrest for coming up on 72 hours now.
Who would have thought a woman would do that?
California federalized 2,000 troops.
Go figure.
Fire crew moving through to put out 5 electric self-driving cars that have been burned, and a line of officers that continue to fire non-lethal rounds to try and break up crowds that are throwing projectiles at them. This tonight is the state of
what a
Los
fucking
Angeles
mess.
under siege.
This is what happens when you have a fucking place like California.
You talk about people upset that the federal government
What a dump of a place to live.
Occupying, invading our city. You have another side who says that illegal immigrants have invaded and occupied our city, and it's coming to a head on the streets of Los Angeles again tonight.
And it's just looking at these images, it's just so heartbreaking seeing that these people are so angry, and this is what we are seeing, the aftermath of the anger and the tensions. And you understand both sides. You understand that people, they have their right to their opinion, but acting out in this way, this was supposed to be a peaceful protest turned
wow. At least one of the reporters has a soul.
So Mayor Bass said it best in her press conference. I'm trying to find my notes from that. She said
Mayor Bass is an idiot.
Exercise their First Amendment right, but peacefully and not like this.
Yeah.
So we don't like seeing scenes like this.
Can we zoom in on the bottom of the screen? Is that a barricade wall that these folks have set
Yeah,
up?
that's a fucking barricade, dumbass.
Gabe's back.
Happy Pride Month.
Gabe Santos back in Air 7. It looks like they have taken some barricades here. Some are those chairs? Those might be chairs from Grand Park. They might have dislodged those from Grand Park or somewhere.
Oh, nice. Destroying property, public property.
Here in the middle of the road and firing things, throwing things at officers who are firing back. Gabe Santos, what are you seeing?
Yeah, Jory, Nico, we keep talking about this multi-pronged situation here. You have the Waymos that are burning to the north of the 101 freeway. This is to the south
What a fucking shit show.
The 101 as it cuts through downtown near Maine. And I think the other cross there is, looks like that's the Los Angeles. No, this is Maine and 1st Street, I believe. We'll get the exact cross there for you shortly. It is very near to City Hall. And what happened is some of the protesters started building a bit of a kind of a fort, if you will, using those chairs, as you said, possibly from a nearby art installation. We're dealing with the trees and the buildings here, trying to get you the best shot as possible.
Fucking idiots.
A few of those protesters back there, and LAPD actually got on their radio.
This is what happens when you let people run around like animals.
Projectiles that were being thrown by the protesters towards officers. So officers are trying to get more resources in this area. And this is where about maybe 30 or 40 minutes ago, there was that skirmish that erupted from the protesters after this freeway situation. This is the Aliso ramp onto the 101. Where a lot of protesters were pushed back up onto Surface Streets. They were on the 101 earlier. You can see there, it looks like one side of the 101 is...
There's all the shit burning.
There are those Waymos there, that one that caught fire on first.
Nothing like going green than burning electric vehicles.
Loss. No surprise there, but it is probably going to completely burn to the ground. LA City Fire doesn't want any part of this. They for just mere safety of their personnel, they are not going to work their way into this area. And LAPD, they have their
nice
they
spots.
actually made a request earlier.
Burning hot lava from an electric vehicle. Nice.
Units were available. Additional federal units were available to actually help LAPD deal with what was going on in this intersection. Where you can see a lot of debris
What
on the
a
ground.
fucking shit
It's
show.
still being thrown. And LAPD, for obvious reasons, being told that federal forces don't have anybody to spare, really. They are focused on guarding the federal building and making sure things are okay there. So LAPD using their mounted units to maintain a blockade on this intersection. And Rob, as we tilt down, they are now dealing with what is an apparent blockade by some protesters using these chairs, like we said, from a nearby
Go through that blockade and start whooping some ass and putting people in cuffs.
if you will. Looks like some
Then you'll get somewhere.
signs and various other signs. And this is where things get pretty interesting. It looks like some of them are backing up now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you better back up. Come whoop their fucking ass. There you go.
So LAPD
About time.
is now making a move forward.
They must have listened to me. Must have heard
some
me.
Of their less than lethal fire, rubber bullets presumably, and they are
Fucking
making a
pepper
move
them with rubber
forward.
bullets.
So LAPD not letting this fort, if you will,
Fuck 'em.
become any more fortified. And they
Keep
are
blasting
making a
rubber
move
bullets
and
till they
having
leave.
These protesters disperse.
Shoot
and
rubber bullets till they
preventing
leave the
something
country.
More serious from happening further down. So you can see those mounted units.
I love it.
Continuing down. Those units on
Get
foot
them
continue to
motherfuckers.
Fire that less than lethal fire towards those protesters. You see that. Looks like that was, I'm not sure if that was a smoke grenade.
Get the
or if that
fuck
was a
out of the
water
road.
bottle from some of the protesters being thrown at one of the horses.
Throw them in
Those
jail.
horses are continuing to make their way down the street towards where that fort was. You can now see it's been completely destroyed. And they are continuing
Their fort's
to push
all gone.
protesters down.
Now
I'm
they're
not
gonna
sure
lay
if that's
around
a
acting
bag
like they
roll
got
or
hurt.
That's or if it's
Log roll. That's original.
A person that was just kind of continuing to roll
Beat his
down.
ass.
And that
Good.
officer on horseback is
Fucking dummy.
forcefully suggesting that person get up and continue moving down the street. You can see here.
Yeah, now they're running.
Some of them
Bet your
were,
ass they are.
building that.
That didn't take
barricade
much.
on the street a little to the top of the frame. Yeah. They are now being dispersed further down the
Keep
street.
blowing off
Those
fucking
officers,
rounds.
those rubber bullets continuing to make headway here.
And as we watch this play out, Gabe, I want to go to Bruce Thomas real quick and ask him about the sticks that we see those mounted officers using. We saw batons earlier deployed.
Yeah, that's why I can't fuck with it, Jet.
Skirmish line on the front lines, but we are seeing these officers
Rumble
mounted
sucks.
using some kind of stick to kind of beat back.
It's just a fucking nightmare to deal with.
Yeah, Joey, it's a straight stick. It's a tool that some departments still have their patrol officers carry. Being on
Charge,
horseback,
boys,
straight
charge.
stick is longer.
Look how
You're
fast
able to
they
reach
bailed.
out, you're able to move people with it. But what we've seen also is the officers
Fucking
taking it
assholes.
with the horses, and that's part of the training. The horses are not afraid of the flashbangs of the R1 rounds when they go off. And assaulting a horse is a grade 1 felony And I can tell you, if we saw some people throw stuff.
Can kill a person, can't assault a horse.
Make the point to take those people to jail.
Only in LA.
I'm curious, you mentioned the straight stick. That's what the weapon that they're using is called. What are the injuries like with a straight stick if you get hit by it with the force that they're showing today?
I don't know. You ever been hit with something, lady?
Baseball bat. It's made of wood. It's laminated. So if you get hit with it, you may have a welt or a bruise. It's not something.
There goes that barricade.
Totally
Should have never let him got it going.
As it's more for glancing blows to move people, and then the horse and the mounted officer will move past them.
We're going to keep an eye on this during the game and after.
Chairs and debris and barricade being carried away from this location. Again, another crowd once again gathering outside.
Bunch of other assholes.
In the middle of the street, blocking traffic.
Wow, I finally saw an American flag that's not being burnt.
Looks like another barricade. That is directly outside LA City Hall. Once again, we saw Molina Park there on the left.
What
City
a
Hall
dump.
on the right, and as we go down,
Could you imagine living
down
there?
towards LAPD headquarters, which is right across the street from City Hall. So
Ugh.
at the bottom of your screen now, that angled triangular building, that is LAPD headquarters. Right there. Don't have to travel far to kind of see the thick of.
Oh no, they're riots.
Tonight.
It's a riot. They're burning cars and shit.
Juxtaposition how far away the earlier skirmishes were at Alameda and Temple. That's the federal complex where the detention center, the courthouse, and all of that plays out across.
What a shit show.
Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
What a shit show.
One of the things we haven't seen yet is any protests at the federal building property in West.
Let's go back to the game.
With the way the cap situation is set up. But as we said in game one, no one appreciates being in the finals with the Pacers more than Miles Turner.
Pay that man his money. That's what you need to do, Mike.
17-point lead, OKC.
Jalen Williams on the bounce back up. Holmgren, excellent first half. Turner shuts it off. Holmgren spins. Layup short. Well
Nice D, Miles. Turner.
Turner left wide open. A good three-point shooter, but well short there. And whistle.
Stay in front, force him into a tough shot. Like there was some contact on that left arm.
Alexander, 15 points in that first half.
Nice move, SGA. Good pass.
Wide open, corner three. That's good.
Nice three.
Boy, his handle is elite. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Lead back to 18.
Tim Hart. Neesmith.
I know, Joe. I don't get it.
Goes right after 7-footer. Draws the foul.
And one? No.
2 fouls on Chet Holmgren.
I can think about 85 ways.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander splitting the double
I'd
team.
rather
Once the
spend my
double team is
Sunday
split, you're dead.
than burning down my city.
Behind the ball. And that's just an easy shot.
That's what's wrong with, that's what's wrong with people. People don't give a fuck
And now you have so
about
much to choose from. He's got floater,
what's
he's got
right
open
anymore.
shot. Gets J-Dub involved.
I say that's the next evolution for me, for him. Remember the first half pass? He had it to Caruso in the first half. He put it at his feet off the drive. That time, right into the shooting pocket. Make it easy. He is brilliant, Shea. Like, absolutely brilliant. But if I were going to say one next evolution.
Great players always find ways to improve, even if it's just fractions.
That's the 14th foul. And we're not even 2 minutes in. Wow.
Yep, that's right, Mark. They support all these illegals and bullshit over veterans, over disabled people,
Ben Taylor, by the way, is first NBA Finals assignment.
over elderly people
To Ben Taylor.
that are from their own country.
James Williams, plenty of room, knocks down the shot.
They care more about illegals than Americans.
Halliburton, 3 points on 1 of 5 shooting.
The most fucked up thing ever.
Turner again goes right at Holmgren.
Oh, Turner should have hit that.
Neesmith on SGA. Trying to get rid of him. Pulls up. Jumper's good.
They knew what they were doing, Joe. They want all this.
Lead back up to 20.
They want chaos and shit.
And deflected out of bounds. Some extra
They love
pushing and shoving going on right now.
The more chaos, the worse Trump looks.
And Shea, just like all great events in history, you just witnessed this. That mid-range pull-up you can't contest.
It's all to make Trump look bad. They don't care about us.
Turner, that's a 3. Miles Turner comes right back with his first 3-pointer. Well, he's got 8 of his 12 already here in this third period.
And might they have the kind of shot making that can let them back in this?
No lead is safe with the Indiana Pacers in these 2025 playoffs. Shot clock at 4. Gilgeous Alexander draws the foul.
How's that a foul? Jeepers, bro.
But he'll return to the free throw line. Slow to get up. Time to make the switch with YouTube TV. Get your favorite sports and live TV in one app. 17.6 assists so far for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
I got one better than that. You want to talk about flags? They're burning American flags in there here. They're burning American flags. Fuck their flag. They're burning ours. Burning our flag while they're flying theirs. But that's a liberal way of thinking. I'm so glad I'm halfway through my life, at least, hopefully. I'm so glad. I don't think I'll be alive to see when this country finally crashes and burns. Thank God.
Started with the Clippers. What a trade that was for Sam Presti to get him here to OKC.
It's going to happen.
Both the front offices of both these teams have made exceptional trades. Back out of Kevin Pritchard with Indiana. And Sam
It used to
Presti
be,
with
Jet.
Oklahoma City.
Not anymore.
Sam Presti, executive of the year.
Not anymore.
He's built a team that
It used to be
has a chance
illegal.
special for a long time. Meanwhile, Kevin Pritchard, all the guys he acquired, they didn't make a lot of changes in the offseason. And look, they're in the NBA Finals. And trust in the continuity of these guys. Eastman falls down, gets the pass out. Siakam a 3.
Here comes Indiana with another miss. Oklahoma City's running.
And Nimar defended him beautifully. Williams started a run before he caught it. SGA wants a clear out against his childhood buddy. Williams 3-pointer misses.
Come on, Indiana, wake up.
The nail help is waiting for Shea.
Siakam a little out of control.
Way out of control.
Turner right to Siakam. And a foul. Turner wanted a foul as well. The Pacers, 2 big men helping each other out there.
Do we see double big come soon?
Well, that's one of the things that helped Indiana when
At least it's in California.
OKC, they started to go on a run.
At least it's not everywhere else
but
yet.
even there, multiple offensive rebounding opportunities, and the size is just not there when you're talking about. Pascal Siakam is the 3rd tallest player on that floor right now, and it's not even close.
That should tell you something, too. Look where it's happening. The dumbest of the dumb.
Pacer for a year and a half, getting him for Toronto. Certainly the trade for
Dumbest of the dumb.
changed the direction of the franchise. The trade for Siakam brought him to another level.
He's the kind of guy, Mike, that can fit into any system because his offensive skills, all 3
Absolutely,
levels.
Mark.
That free throw is bizarre, though, the way it comes off his hands. And defensively, you can play him on a primary or you can put him in a little rover situation. Either way, he's terrific.
Hasn't shot the free throws well in the playoffs, but boy, he's done everything else beautiful. Back to 17 with 4 minutes into the third.
Keep firing rubber bullets.
Step back,
Fuck 'em.
3-pointer, can't get it. Turner with the defensive rebound.
It is not too early to say that Tyrese Halliburton has to get himself involved in this game. Right now, he's got 3 points, 3 rebounds, and
Turner can't buy a boot. He's had 3 or 4 plays go in and out.
going right now.
It was
Big shot, Neesmith.
Line drive, three-pointer. Mark Bateman calls timeout as the Pacers.
Nice. Indiana cuts the lead to 14. Timeout, OKC. Let's go back to the Riot. Only in California. Only in California. I don't know how people live in California. I don't know how you afford to.
Entirety of all downtown, but you do have a very large area, and LAPD, it appears, is really kind of
look at all the canisters of rubber bullets they fired.
Number of protesters.
Crazy.
And how kind of widespread they are right now.
Definitely, yeah, it definitely makes it much harder when they are so widespread like that. Gabe, thank you so much. I believe we have Amy Powell joining us as well. She is on the ground giving us a look as well. And Amy, what's going on behind you? Where are you? What are you seeing? What's happening?
Nico,
people are going down there to hang out.
110 freeway along North
This dude's
Broadway,
unpacking his fucking
we're overlooking
scooter.
The freeway. Of course, we can see that the southbound side of the freeway is completely shut down. We see nothing but LAPD vehicles and other emergency vehicles and official vehicles there because traffic cannot flow through this area right now. However, the northbound side.
A mom took her kid down there.
You can see on
yeah, let's go to the Riot.
In this area, we're looking towards Spring Street, and you get a really good view of just how many people are out here. It is amazing to me. I was out here, of course, last night.
Oh no, Joe, they found bricks at this one again too. There were bricks left around the city in certain spots. Once again, I watched a video on it today.
By the federal building, when this was a relatively small protest, now we're seeing hundreds, thousands of people out here.
There's a couple thousand people.
On the move. We were down by City Hall earlier. We saw large groups.
There's a couple thousand people, not hundreds of thousands.
We see still a lot of people here. Some are again standing on the overpasses down there. We hear those pops, those bangs. The explosives from the flashbangs.
No, those are fireworks.
From time to time.
Lying
the crowd
bitch.
we're seeing right now is just standing here peacefully, kind of watching
Look
what's
at.
going on.
Let me take
here,
my
but
kid to
it's
the
starting
Riot.
To look at all that black smoke rising
Idiot.
from. I know you were talking about all the Waymos that have been set on fire. We can still see that black smoke rising from here.
What a
Of course, we've got
shithole.
Police helicopters, media overhead. So much police activity here. If we
What a shithole.
Will, we can take a good look down at the freeway. We see all those officers, those LAPD officers and other officers gathered down
Get them
there.
the fuck out of there.
Trying to make sure more people don't get onto the freeway. I believe there were some people on here earlier. I can't tell beyond that bridge, the Los Angeles Street Bridge, if there are any people on the freeway. But this is just an extraordinary thing to see how many people have come out to join this protest. They're frustrated, they're angry, and this has been building.
They're angry. They're here illegally.
We don't know for sure, but certainly the news of all those National Guard troops coming into the area, I don't know if that spurred more people to come on.
Liberal rage at its finest.
Process. And Will, if we can swing over this way, I want to show people on the overpass right here. Now, some of these people are holding flags and signs, and they appear that they may have been here for the protest. Perhaps they left, or perhaps they're keeping their distance, because that's the thing.
Go back to
Many
Mexico.
people demonstrating down here are not here
Fucking
to
assholes.
cause trouble, to cause confrontations.
Some people aren't there to cause trouble. A lot are. A lot of them are.
Always seems to bounce back. Game one, he was solid up until that amazing game winner.
So tonight, Mike, what Oklahoma City has done is made him a jump shooter. He doesn't have a single shot in the paint.
Those paint
Retarded
shots,
ass
those paint
California.
shots, once he gets in there, the defense collapses, and he's one of the best in the business at passing out.
Trump and Elon are arguing, had a falling out. And what do the liberals do? What they do best. Start destroying LA.
Keeping him in check. And Doris, he always says he judges his offense.
That's why people won't vote for him.
Speaking of paint, that's how he judges his aggressiveness on the offensive end. He's good looking. Turner, nice speed
Nice pass.
From the big man.
Nemhot's having a good game.
Able to get it to fall.
He's been Indiana's best player tonight.
Good screen set by Hartenstein.
Nice pass by Hartenstein.
And Caruso finishes.
Good D, Hartenstein. Great steal, great defense by the big man. Caruso to SGA.
One-on-one with Memard.
They swing it. Caruso for three. Wide open, too easy. Lead back to 18.
13 points in 13 minutes off the bench.
6:20 to go in the third quarter. Turner, nice shot.
He's got 10 points in the period.
And all of these shots big. Mike,
Indiana stays within 10. They got a shot. Oh, almost a turnover.
Midway now through the third. Jump shot.
That's SGA's bread and butter.
He's making every right decision. Quiet play, they empty
That's
the
his
side,
shot.
he gets
Free
over
throw
early.
line.
That time he's aggressive.
Wide open, bink.
Halliburton trying to be aggressive. Halliburton back up top. Siakam bumped by Caruso.
Yeah, Siakam got fouled.
Second foul on Caruso.
Gonna be on the floor.
So free throws for Siakam.
Well, we just keep talking about
Both
Hartenstein.
teams in the bonus.
Good screener he is. Mark has said he's the best screener he's ever coached. Just needs a little cushion.
And then the ball movement. Shea goes into the post. This is a late. Look at the rotation. It's so slow. You got to know that you're sprinting out to the corner. If you're Neesmith, that is a wide open shot in the NBA Finals on the road, and you're trying to come back.
Siakam makes the first.
Siakam now with 12. Shepard and Toppin reporting. Neesmith and Turner will sit down. Both these teams, they want to wear you out, wear you down with their depth. Indiana often does it with their
Loud
offense.
over there in OKC.
OKC with their smothering defense. You got to be in good condition to play these two teams.
But Mike, you make an excellent point because Sam Presti was quoted earlier this year saying that when you're putting together a modern NBA team, he believes depth is absolutely critical.
Makes
and you
them
can
both.
tell philosophically both teams believe in
76
depth.
to 60.
Already entered the
Oklahoma City. 5:30 to play in the third.
OKC lead, 5.5 to play, third quarter. Gildas Alexander with that sweet handle, back out.
Wiggins, another big three. He's having a huge game.
11 points in 9 minutes off the bench. The Thunder bench getting it done, and Siakam is fouled. Good aggressiveness from Pascal Siakam, although Wiggins didn't think it was a foul, clearly.
They're not going to challenge that up by 17.
His passes being on
What are you
time
talking
and
about,
on
Wiggins?
target. Wiggins is an individual that scored 40 points this season. They know he has the ability, and then on the other side, this is the one advantage that Pascal Siakam brings. He is bigger, he is stronger than the defenders for OKC. He's got to keep being aggressive downhill.
And we revoked Alex's challenge card last game.
Yeah. No challenges for you.
Well, Wiggins,
Siakam
that game
makes
you
another
talked about
free
during
throw.
the season is actually 41, which is a career high for him. He's another one of those players. There's some games he can get you 20 easy. Other games he doesn't play a lot of minutes, plays real tough defense. Just another great pickup for this team.
It's the stay ready ability. You might score 4 points, you might not play, you might score 40, you might come off the bench and have 11 points in a big moment. The fact that Mark Dagnall has had the ability to keep every man on his roster and engaged at all times is so impressive.
17-point lead.
Memard, Gildas Alexander battling again.
Wiggins turns it over.
Indiana's starting to look like they're showing zone last couple possessions.
Halliburton back up top. Obi Toppin
Nice play, Nemhot.
goes inside, trying to draw a foul.
Turned it over.
Last
Almost.
by Caruso.
Caruso
12 to
touches
shoot.
it before it goes out.
Caruso just another key has had some playoffs. The impact he makes at both ends of the floor. Halliburton in the three-pointer.
No good.
Siakam knocks it out of bounds.
Halliburton misses again.
Great touch on. Is he going to change the call? Robert James Williams. Yes, they're going to change the call.
Wow.
That's the right call. That's the right call.
Williams thought he got hit in the head.
That's a different call, Mike.
Down to Shepard.
Halliburton
Into the paint.
to Toppin. Three-pointer. No good.
And Caruso with a rebound.
Look at the challenge.
Toppin's
to
cold
bring
tonight.
much better job in the later stages of the
He had a
second
huge
half
game one.
here, getting out to those threes.
Gildas Alexander trying to draw contact. Toppin kept his hands away and gets the rebound.
Here comes Indiana. Good D.
Jalen Williams.
Jalen Williams just saved 3 points.
Triple team. Halliburton floaters.
Wow, tough shot. Halliburton finally makes one.
Tyrese Halliburton.
Only 5 points for Halliburton so far.
Don't concede the corner three.
2 for 7. 1 for 5 from 3.
Looks for passes. He's got to use his offense to open up the lane.
Williams draws some contact. Free throws for Jalen Williams.
Bad foul by Indiana there.
Again, MR getting in the paint. Look, that paint touch, what does it do? It makes it a longer closeout. And I'm telling you, he's got to look at the rim. I want to see him get 5 or 6 or 7 shots over a 10-15 possession, because that's going to make the defense collapse, and then that's going to make the passes easier.
Williams in the
Shepard
bonus.
picks up his first foul.
Makes the first.
Substitutions. Upcoming national TV schedule.
Lead back to
ESPN
16.
The Sky and the Liberty in New York. ABC Wednesday. The finals will be in Indianapolis. Game 3 tip-off shortly after 8:30 Eastern. And Game 4 also in Indy. And also shortly after 8:30 for the tip. When we go to Indianapolis, tied at 1. And the Pacers storm another comeback. Still plenty of time. Williams knocks down.
Makes them both. 17-point lead. 3:45 to go. Third quarter.
Caruso harassing Halliburton. Nice feint. Gets in the paint.
Nice steal, SGA.
One man to beat it. Stopper gets inside.
And a foul.
Free throws for Gildas Alexander. Has some words to James Williams.
Trump called in the National Guard. I don't know where they are.
And the strip down clean of Halliburton.
I know Trump called in the National Guard. I haven't seen any of them.
Foul right there. That's just a good hard.
Maybe the California powers that be are keeping them at home.
I mean, this is Oklahoma City. As soon as the ball touches the
If it
paint,
gets bad
they
enough, he might.
absolutely swarm. They're reaching.
If it doesn't
They're
stop, he
slapping.
might.
They're making your life difficult. Look at that on the other side.
Timeout. 82-64 Oklahoma. Let's check out the LA riot / protest, if you want to call it that. All kinds of electric vehicles on fire. Libtards libbing out.
Have been hurled from the overpasses down onto those vehicles below, the barricades, the signs. That sign that was ripped out we saw a little bit ago looks like it's laying next to that vehicle, and a scooter laying in the windshield.
And those are very heavy, those Lime scooters. So just imagine the force when it came down from that overpass onto that police
Nice,
vehicle.
they're throwing scooters off the overpass onto the highway.
But, going back to what Tim said a little bit earlier, it really makes you think these protesters, what they're thinking. But
Throwing electric scooters off the highway onto cars. Yeah, that's not dangerous. Those scooters are heavy too. They're not like a regular scooter. A regular scooter is heavy, let alone an electric.
one point that I feel clear why a lot of them, they are hurling their anger towards them. They don't really care who it is, if it's Homeland Security
Nope.
or LAPD. They just want to.
It's just a bunch of angry, crazy
It's
people.
authority.
Right.
It's a backlash against authority, and when you feel like your community is under attack, as many of these crowds do.
Yeah, I saw that too,
they
Jeff.
turn to whatever authority is on.
Dudes
scene
ripping out
and law
pavers from the
enforcement,
public property.
They are there to do
Humming them at every car going by.
Return home safely to their family tonight. You know, they don't want to have to fight. They want to maintain the peace.
A temper tantrum to stay in the country.
Confronted and provoked all day long. I think in large part, every agency.
Oh, you gave them all kinds of money. What'd you expect?
Showing restraint, trying to de-escalate the situation, because as all these officials have said, even the ones who are
and the taxpayer is going to pay all this overtime.
Those who are demonstrating today, you cannot turn to violence. You cannot turn to chaos. And so law enforcement is doing their best to maintain order and control and peace.
What a fucking zoo.
In the face of some very tough situations playing out.
Because even like right now, looking at everything going on, I mean, we really don't get anywhere with this kind of destruction and this anger. I understand people are upset, but this doesn't take us anywhere. The message isn't spread across the correct way this way. And I also understand, I'm sure a lot of the protesters, it angered them. The 2000 national...
Yeah, they might not know how to fight, but they know how to use a weapon, or they got a weapon and they're all drugged out, or they're on SSRIs. These aren't stable people.
I don't know if those troops will, what's going to happen with those troops, if they will continue to be here, but I'm sure their presence has definitely angered a lot of people. They're angrier than what they were before they were deployed.
Right. Can we go back up to Gabe Santos? Is he ready to go up in Air 7? Let's see what's going on. We see some movement of some LAPD officers.
Fuck the scooters.
This is around
the manpower, the hours in labor is going to kill them. Those scooters will be paid for with insurance money.
We saw some folks removing those chairs, kind of refortifying their line. What are you seeing now?
What a fucking dump.
Move Air 7 around this other building here, just on the west side of City Hall. We can see there that fortified barricade that we've seen with those pink chairs that have been put in place there. And as we get a little bit of a better view there, you can see it now spans the entire length of Spring Street. And, well, yeah, you can see about 20 or so of those pink chairs being used as a barricade, and those protesters now standing behind those barricades. And now we see some of that less than lethal fire from LAPD. LAPD has not tolerated the presence of any sort of fixed barricades or anything like that. They don't want anybody to really dig their heels in, so to speak, and post up at any one specific location, especially using shields or anything of that nature, because as soon as that happens, LAPD knows that could lead to something a little more serious, and it's definitely
stole all the fucking things from the park,
to deal with.
All the seats to make barricades.
A literal barricade like this gets
morons. That'll cost the city. That shit'll cost the city.
Some of the other activity that we were watching back on the 101 freeway, we did see some of those projectiles being thrown off of the bridge. There's pieces of concrete. We saw some bird scooters. We saw that sign there. Some individuals on the overpass literally rocked the sign back and forth until it came loose, and they threw it over the Los Angeles Street Bridge down onto some of these CHP vehicles there. So at least 3 vehicles have now been hit, and I see a number of chunks of concrete down there too. It looks like some pieces of concrete have been hammered away.
Yeah, they look innocent.
And some of those pieces have been
they're wearing masks.
You see another one right there at the top of the frame. Some of them have been thrown down onto these CHP vehicles.
Yeah, they're innocent. Look at him throw the rock. He's innocent.
You see another one through the frame right there. Now, there's nobody in those vehicles. But there are a number of CHP officers still down underneath the overpass, so they appear to be holding that position as of now. But
send them back home.
Something you want to see. We've had a number of city leaders condemn acts of violence and acts of vandalism, and wow, you see one of those rental bikes, the entire bike hurled over the side there. And
fucking animals.
Countless projectiles being thrown over the side. Really, people are seeing these CHP vehicles down below and just using them for target practice right now. which
Yeah,
is
throw
obviously
some more
not
shit.
something we want
You're
to
on
see here. We
camera.
only see a few individuals right here on this bridge.
Show them
doing
what's
that,
really
but this is just
happening.
one
There you
of
go.
a number of different scenes that law enforcement is dealing with right now. We've seen where Tim Caputo is located on the north side of the 101 on Los Angeles Street, where
Third world
those
country.
Waymo vehicles were burning earlier. LA City Fire arriving on scene to
Throwing
put
them
those
at cars
fires
that
out.
have nothing to do with it.
As I look out the window of Air 7, I'm seeing white smoke from those Waymo vehicles. So it appears that fire crews are.
I'd be flying through there if I was in my car.
LA City Fire actually made the move to move in there because it really didn't seem like the fires were a continuing threat, but it is my best guess is that LA City Fire was able to get some additional crews on scene, and LAPD was able to get some additional crews on scene so that they could escort some fire trucks into the area to put those fires
Nothing
out.
like
So
burning a
at the very
green
least,
vehicle
there is just something burning in the middle of
to
Los
save the
Angeles
environment.
could be something that's easy to set other things on fire. Protesters could use the flames that already exist in here to set more fires. That's obviously a concern in any situation like this. But you see these Waymo fires, it looks like a lot of them are being put out. Some stubborn flames there in the middle, probably those lithium-ion batteries that we're always hearing about with regards to any electronic vehicle fires, those Waymos
super
being,
toxic
electronic vehicles. But a lot of different scenes here, spanning a number of city blocks that law enforcement is having to deal with here as we tilt down.
Morons.
That's the federal building at the top of the frame, and this is Alameda Boulevard, where you can see a lot of these LAPD vehicles staging. The numbers on the top of those LAPD vehicles represent different sections of LAPD, and I'm not going to bore you with reading them all out, but it's basically from all over the city. So you have LAPD resources from all over the city coming to the scene here, and as Rob zooms in at the corner here near Alameda and Temple, you see a number of individuals in custody, in handcuffs. I did hear a unconfirmed report earlier.
Bunch of mentally ill fucktards.
At least 17 individuals have been taken into custody right now, and that is definitely a believable number right now.
Those are still the people. You saw the person with the motorcycle helmet on. That is still the driver of that motorcycle that have been waiting there. You can recognize the clothes are the same. They have been here for hours after they were taken into custody on the skirmish lines. You can see
who gives a fuck?
Right there with the
Let them sit there on the curb.
That's the motorcyclist who was taken into custody after the two motorcycles were driven into the crowd there. I'm curious, do you have a vantage point back outside at Grand Park to see what's going on there? It's very reminiscent of some of those school protests, which we covered a couple years ago, where students would take chairs and umbrellas and equipment there and line it up and wait for police to come in, and they would give the order and march in. I don't know how much. It's surprising to see when we hear about
keep shooting rubber bullets
that these officers
and tear gas. I would tear gas that whole place.
Seem to be doing anything. Perhaps they're just
tear gas the shit out of them.
Underground because you have the mounted horses right
I don't know
there.
why they haven't.
If they did what they did a moment ago, when they were barricading themselves and just moved the horses in the line of officers in.
Fuck shooting rubber bullets. Tear gas the shit out of them.
City control. And it's also questionable why that was so available to people today when it's not moored to the ground. Every time, trash cans are not movable, they're attached to the ground so they can't be used as weapons like this. I know these chairs and tables, I believe, are from the steps that leads to the different levels, maybe up to Dorothy Chandler Pavilion.
Right.
Mental illness.
Throughout Grand Park, which reaches different levels.
A big pile of mental illness.
So readily available for this crowd to use. There's a bench that they were able to.
All those pink benches are stolen.
Move, and you see this wall of chairs and tables that they've now posted up here, right outside City Hall.
Oh, that was a good throw.
And there are a few of these scenes too. We saw a little bit earlier when these protesters created these barricades,
whack
these
jobs,
barriers with these tables,
wearing leather pants, leather shorts.
I don't think the other
crawling around on the ground
area even had these benches, but we saw
that umbrella's gonna help.
Did come toward them with the horses, and I think that is them. It's kind of hard to tell because it's
that umbrella's gonna help.
He's about to zoom in for us. I think those are the police officers right there.
Fucking idiot.
I don't believe these are the ones on the horses, though.
No, the horses are just on the catty corner in this intersection.
Okay. Because when they start coming toward them with the horses, that's when we see those barricaded areas start to
What a
disperse in.
fucking
So
dump.
We'll see when they make that move. But as of right now, the protesters have barricaded themselves behind those chairs.
In the meantime, Governor Newsom is observing the situation. He's
Governor
posted
Newsom's
several
getting
tweets this afternoon and this
blowjobs from
evening,
2 young
writing,
girls.
Trump is trying to manufacture
And
a
a dude.
crisis in LA County, deploying troops not for order,
Stop
but to
it.
create chaos. Don't take the bait. Never use violence or harm law enforcement. Less than an hour ago, the governor wrote, despite protests already being managed by the LAPD, President Trump is escalating the situation by threatening to deploy roughly 500 active duty Marines to the streets of
Send
Los
them in.
Angeles. He writes, Los Angeles,
Send them in.
remain peaceful. Don't fall into the trap that extremists are hoping for. And that
Don't fall into the trap that extremists are hoping for. I think the extremists are the ones out in the street, Gavin. What a fucking douche.
500 active duty Marines threat.
He's a lunatic.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and is now being repeated by President Trump, saying he will do whatever he needs to do to maintain law and order.
Send the Marines in.
By and large,
Stop
that
beating
is not
ass.
something that a president can
These
do.
people
You
need
cannot
an ass
turn
whooping.
U.S. troops against U.S. citizens, U.S. soil, unless you're using the Insurrection Act. Is this grounds to use the insurrection? Could, under any circumstances, legal, moral, could this be deemed an insurrection against the United States?
This is where I would love if we had a legal expert to be here and answering the questions for us, because that is such a good point. And it just, I'm curious. I mean, is that the next step? If it's not the national, if it's the National Guard is here, but the next step after the National.
Send them in before nighttime comes. Wait till nighttime comes. These people are gonna go fucking crazy. Let's check out the score of the game, see if it's worth watching. 93-74, end of the third. See if I can update it quick. Indiana up by 19. Let's keep an eye on the retards for a bit. I don't want to watch a blowout.
Wanted U.S. troops to be on the ground to shoot.
Check out these morons for a bit.
Demonstrators who were outside the White House, and so he has expressed a desire to fire upon using U.S. military means against U.S.
Oh yeah, no doubt, Ace. I watched a video that showed where they had blocks. Once again, concrete blocks come out of nowhere. All over these city blocks. I saw 2 different city blocks where they found cinder blocks left. Like pallets of them. Fucking crazy.
Citizens, which
crazy.
Wildly against
a bunch of people with nothing better to do than destroy shit.
And now there is an open threat from the President of the United States and the Secretary of Defense to do exactly that, using an insurrection act that looks like it does not
bunch
have
of nut
grounds
jobs
to be used here. I'm sure there will some that will call this an insurrection, but we're talking legal grounds. Does the president, in this instance, have the legal grounds to declare this an insurrection against the United States and deploy U.S. military troops against U.S. citizens, which is strictly...
What the fuck is that card doing there? Is it a cop or an idiot?
How this is all going to unfold, if that's going to happen. Looking back outside, live back at downtown LA, we have that aerial view and still showing the protesters going strong. 7:04 this evening. There is some good news here. You can see on the screen, so that looks like a live picture. So the fire department is there. We had those 3 Waymo cars on fire.
Bunch of guys sitting around doing nothing, scratching their nuts.
On fire, and it looks like from
get
that
these
white
people
smoke,
out of there.
They have taken care of that, so that was successful. Let's just hope that we don't see any more EV fires.
Oh boy, people with face masks.
The fire department has to get involved. But what is this? We're seeing some more.
It's not because of COVID. It's so they can hide their identity.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Wow.
Right. Nothing.
Fucking
left, but,
loses.
All the plastic is now melted. A lot of the metal is likely melted as well. That's something we observed in the fires.
This country's going to shit.
That these things can get so hot that it just starts melting the aluminum and the metals therein. There was actually
start deporting citizens
sent out by the LAPD today.
You don't like it here? Go.
Quality because of these fires. It says that from LAPD Central Division, a traffic advisory to media partners, demonstrators, and others who may enter the area of Los Angeles Street north of Arcadia. Burning lithium-ion batteries release toxic gases, including hydrogen fluoride, posing risks to responders and those nearby. Please avoid this area.
Exactly. We were just talking about that a few hours ago, too, and just thinking the protesters...
Burning every green car.
They did this without thinking about the consequences. Exactly. All of those toxic gases in the air, you really shouldn't be breathing in that stuff. And
they know that. They don't care.
Now, it's still there. Those toxic fumes, they're still in the air. Tim Caputo described it as smelling like a dumpster fire. So obviously, it doesn't smell good downtown, and not just
it
that,
never
but
does.
The air quality. That's definitely not a place that you want to be.
Right. So the governor has met with the chief of police of the LAPD and LA County Sheriff Robert Luna. We do have a picture we're working on showing you the officials gathered in Los Angeles, state emergency officials, as they say they're responding to the protest provoked by chaos from Washington. That is from the governor.
Oh my God.
Chaos
from Washington, my ass.
Writing, we're here to keep the peace.
Why are you blaming Trump?
Political games. And we do expect to hear a press conference.
He didn't start a riot.
Likely from the sheriff's department as well. And we believe the governor...
Gavin Newsom is the devil, dude.
He is in Los Angeles tonight monitoring the situation.
That guy's the fucking devil.
Of the LAPD, Jim McDonnell, and the sheriff.
Gavin Newsom is the devil.
Around the cities. California Highway Patrol, I see. So they posted a picture. I'm just trying to see what officials are gathered here. It looks like other sheriff officials. CHP's likely there, LAPD. And I'm not sure.
Gavin Newsom's a special kind of stupid.
If any feds are in this
straight up lying.
The tone and words of what the governor is saying here.
People believe these lies.
Washington blaming this
it's wild
on President Trump and his actions, and
it's all because of Trump. This is happening.
Administration. But we will see here in less than an hour. We plan to hear from the LAPD, and we believe
they're blaming Trump for the riot. That's crazy.
There are two men.
Gavin Newsom
toward the camera,
blaming Trump for the riot.
Civilian clothes. Obviously, they're not civilians, but it makes you think what kind of higher up law enforcement is this?
Is
they have
nuts.
Black polos on, so it'll be interesting to see who they are. We'll see that in the next hour or so with that press conference.
Nuts.
And all this is playing out once again as the governor of California and the state is now in direct confrontation with the president of the United States and the federal government. The president last night ordering the federalization of 2,000 members of the California National Guard. He did so without the request or approval of the governor of California. That's how this typically works. If there's a problem, if there is a need, a governor of a state requests from the federal government assistance federalizing those troops.
Well, he knows Gavin Newsom's not going to help him.
Governor Gavin Newsom has
wants this to happen.
Requested that the Trump administration rescind that deployment of troops.
Newsom don't want troops.
Tweet, he calls this an unlawful deployment of troops in Los Angeles County. He says, return them to my command. That is the governor of California talking to the president of the United States and his administration, saying, return them to my command. We didn't have a problem until Trump got involved, the governor writing. This is a serious breach.
We didn't have a problem until Trump got involved.
Pulling resources from where they're actually needed. Rescind the order. Return control to California.
Right. President Trump, absolutely. He bypassed Governor Newsom and he deployed those 2,000 National Guard troops. And obviously, we've seen from the protests today that definitely spiked up the anger level. It looks like it went up a notch, too.
It was going to go up a notch no matter what. Stop it.
Okay, we see that, I believe, those are the feds moving.
This is baby shit.
Vehicles that, this is Homeland Security moving through the
baby shit
that we saw that man try and smash the back window.
The president did it
by Tim Caputo
because he wants the National Guard involved, and I don't want to do it.
At some point, we assume will likely.
I like chaos in California.
The park.
City Hall, right?
Oh, okay.
So right down here, City Hall's to the right, Grand Park is to the left. The courthouse is just up and around the corner, up the hill from this location, and those Homeland Security vehicles are moving through. The LAPD with
look at they rode all over the streets.
Are holding their
fuck the president, fuck the USA, fuck the police, fuck
these
ICE.
Folks just kind of play around, hiding.
These people don't love America.
But I think the volley of non-lethals has continued from LAPD officers as we
even the Americans that are there
fortify their line there, stacking those benches and tables up.
A lot of these people are dumbass citizens.
What they hope to accomplish here, what the purpose of this is. I'm not even sure if there is a purpose. Just kind of continue this.
There's no purpose. They're going to walk right through it.
Continuing to hurl things back at those officers. At what point does the LAPD say this is enough? We're going to restore.
They've already broken through a few of them.
Right outside City Hall.
LAPD is going to make a push soon.
Again, those pink chairs. And
this can't go on through the night.
Somehow, for some reason,
it's going to get worse. As soon as it gets nighttime, it's going to get bad.
Demonstrators to build up.
They're going to stop burning everything.
A fortified line here.
And it's going to start getting dark really soon. In the next hour or so, we're expecting our sunset around 8 o'clock tonight. So it makes you think. And right now, it looks like the law enforcement is in some sort of position right in front of those protesters that barricaded themselves. But it makes you think, is this going to continue until it gets dark? Is that when they're going to move in with the horses, or are they going to move in sooner? We have Gabe Santos, and I believe Gabe's going to give us a clearer picture of what he's seeing. Gabe, what's going on?
They're peppering them.
Yeah, so we've been monitoring this barricade, if you will, that's on Spring Street right next to City Hall, and we've been kind of keeping tabs on what LAPD is doing. Earlier, when there was another one of these makeshift barricades set up, LAPD moved in pretty quickly with those mounted units. This one, they appear to be kind of taking a little bit of their time dealing with, and you could see there are consequences, if you will, to that, because protesters are continuing to build up this barrier and fortify it, if you will, with now 2 layers of these pink benches. And as you can see, somebody there throwing something at officers there further.
Fucking idiots. What a bunch of idiots.
You could see there people continue to use those pink chairs to fortify that barricade.
Let me waste a beautiful Sunday fighting with police.
Slowly, very slowly, fire their less than lethal rounds and make a little bit of headway, at least.
Let me ruin my city.
Those boxes that we were seeing, those are more of those less than lethal rounds. We were hearing earlier that LAPD was actually running short on those rounds, and that's not as an entire department they were running short. It's that at that specific location, different teams were running short on some of that less than lethal ammo. So you had different...
I've used tear gas. I don't get why they haven't.
Additional parts of LAPD come in, and it
probably not allowed to.
Traffic. Some of the freeways were shut down, but LAPD was able to bring in some additional boxes of that ammo, and you can see those boxes there. They have arrived at the scene here, and LAPD is now making use of that as they continue to slowly push some of those protesters south near this barricade that they have set up on the street in front of City Hall. So it'll be very interesting to see how LAPD deals with this right now.
Shithole.
We did see earlier those white SUVs. Those are from the Federal Protective Service. That's a agency within the Department of Homeland Security, and that is a part of the agency, and their sole responsibility is to protect federal government facilities and occupants of federal government facilities. So unsure exactly which facility they're going to, if they're going to the federal building itself and try and refortify some of the law enforcement crews around that area.
Mental illness
in general to help
run rampant
and things of that
in California.
That would probably be less likely than just continuing to fortify specifically federal property. But it is interesting seeing them on scene here and them kind of driving around, because that definitely is something that is agitating some of the protesters here as they continue to see those.
When the sun goes down, this is going to get interesting.
As we zoom back into this section, this barricade, which now spans the entire length of Spring Street and continues to be fortified. And you see more and more protesters kind of continue to set themselves up behind this barricade. And we're just waiting to see what LAPD does if they continue to move forward on this barricade here.
Bunch of brainwashed bozos.
It is curious to me why they continue this volley of less than lethals. It doesn't appear to be doing anything. They continue to fortify their
brainwashed.
And as we heard earlier, there were calls going out, Gabe, that they are running low on these rounds of flashbangs and pepper balls. And we just see a continued volley of these officers on the front line. It looks like it's calmed down now. We haven't seen anything in the last couple seconds. But look at the side of the road. Every canister there is another empty canister of a less than lethal on one side of the road. These are hundreds here. Throughout the day, we have seen thousands, literally thousands of these munitions sent towards these demonstrators. That's one side of the street we're seeing. The other side is full of them as well. But again, in this situation, if you are indeed running low on them, what it is accomplishing when you're firing them at benches and chairs that are stacked up in the middle of the road. So We will continue to
Yeah,
monitor
low.
that. Right. Okay. I think we're shortly going to have to excuse Gabe to go refill with Air 7. We do have other eyes in the sky that we will continue to watch what's happening. But this is, I think, the largest gathering of people we have seen at this hour now outside Grand Park and LA City Hall. It's where we saw at 2 o'clock
Enough of that talk.
almost more than 5 hours ago.
Wow.
What was the second
Don't want to hear
demonstration
about your
of this day
group you were a
outside
part
City
of.
Hall. That was a large gathering, more than 1,000 people. The entire park there on the left and the street was completely filled with people. They appeared to walk around down the block and join the other gathering that was happening at the Federal Complex, which has been the site of unrest for the last 3 nights.
There were
Weirdos.
thousands of protesters out here, and right now, just looking at this crowd,
Weirdos.
you're right. This is the largest crowd that we have seen in the last hour, and if this is that barricaded, the chairs and the benches that we looked at about 15, 20 minutes ago, this has grown significantly. A little bit earlier, I think there were probably 2 or 3 rows of people behind those barricaded area, but now it has seemed to really grown. I'd say at least hundreds of people behind those those chairs and the bench.
We have
Some kind of smoke.
We have a new post from President Trump, who continues to call the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, writing, Governor Gavin Newsom and, quote, Mayor Bass should apologize to the people of Los Angeles for the absolutely horrible job that they have done. And this now includes the ongoing LA riots.
Yep.
These are not protesters. They are troublemakers and insurrectionists. That is a keynote that he's using that term. Remember, no masks, he writes. And then 3 minutes later, he
Throwing fireworks
posted,
at the cops.
paid insurrectionists. Okay, so why is that so significant? We were talking about it a little earlier.
No, he's throwing fireworks at the cops.
In order to deploy US
Trying to say the cops are throwing flashbangs.
onto the streets of the United States against citizens.
These
of the
cops
United
are going to
States,
take over
the
the
president
street
would
any
have
minute.
To invoke the Insurrection
Watch.
Act. This is
They're starting to get
years
closer.
old. What is an insurrection? It's obviously a movement against the government, against the United States itself.
Bring the horses in.
This be viewed, what's happening in our city, be viewed as an insurrection against the United States? If the president here is using that term, he's calling these people insurrectionists. Is that a movement? Is that a move by the president to employ U.S. military on the streets of our country?
And it makes you.
If he has to do it,
wonder,
to do it.
Okay, are the Marines the next step? Like he said.
Send the
he wanted
Marines
to
in,
deploy
fuck 'em.
A little bit earlier, and when? How soon will we see those? Did he say 500 Marines? We'll be seeing 500 active duty Marines. And these are military members. They're active duty. They don't think about getting assigned to anywhere domestic. I mean, they're deploying these men and women all around the world, but deploying them to California for this reason, I'm sure it's something that.
I don't really like committing to things.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
scared.
That's why you fucked around with Kim Kardashian.
Low price for 3 years. I mean, yeah.
Fucking idiot.
That's what I'm talking about.
Another bozo.
Can you hear me now?
Citizens in the United States. Here is that photo of the governor with Jim McDonald there.
Governor
Sheriff
Newsom.
Robert Luna, and other members of law enforcement gathered in Los Angeles.
American
just a short time
Psycho
ago. The
Gavin
governor
Newsom.
posting to Twitter and citing joined LAPD, LASD, and state emergency officials in Los Angeles as we respond to protests provoked by chaos from Washington. We're here to keep peace.
Chaos
not
from
play
Washington.
into Trump's political games. And on the flip side of that, we hear from the president of the United States, who are calling those
What a brainwash job.
rioters and insurrectionists. Insurrection.
The Democrats brainwashed part of our population to a level equal to Hitler. Nuts. They brainwashed a ton of people. And they believe Newsom when he says this shit. That's the crazy part. Brainwashed.
Behind him and what our country. And so we have Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass blaming today's unrest and the weekend's unrest on the Trump administration and their actions. On the flip side, I was asking,
Oh, he reminds me of American Psycho 1000%.
situation and sees our city on
That's
fire,
all I can
or at
think
least
of when I
fires in
see
our
him.
City on fire. And we go back to Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller's Twitter.
Look at those cop cars getting destroyed.
Is reposting
probably $100 grand a piece.
Democrat management. So who looks bad? He's saying that the Democrats. Another post.
People flying drones.
The LAPD's management of the protests is going, and it's a car on fire. So again,
everyone's got a mask on.
Democratic leadership in the city, in the state, is being used as a focal point for those who are opposed to those in charge here, saying this falls on the Democrats, this falls on Governor Newsom, and this falls on LA Mayor Karen Bass.
Yeah,
not a good look.
This is on the mayor,
not what
and
they were going for either. The message that
the governor.
Both of them are trying to get across. Looking back outside, this is 101. So 101 is still blocked off. I don't recall if it's northbound or south. It's northbound.
This is southbound.
This is southbound. This is southbound that is still blocked. We can see the northbound side getting through, but southbound still blocked, and we have a number of those police vehicles there, and they haven't moved. It's been blocked for, I'd say, 3 hours. 3 hours.
And the real danger.
What a waste of money and time.
Left is open.
Right.
The people who are throwing these things off this overpass onto the vehicles below, thankfully, have not turned their ire to the cars that are moving by. That could change in an instant. It is abhorrent.
Thunder up by 20 on Indiana. That game's over probably.
The 101 freeway
Thunder dominated all night.
With scooters, a bicycle, debris, rock, cement that have been hurled off this overpass onto the.
Yeah, he's a woke idiot though.
But
he's another woke moron. Believe it or not.
Worse with those cars driving by on the northbound side. So
he's got some woke stupidity in him.
Continue. There are vehicles under the protection of the overpass that are not being hit. Where are those officers right now? Where are the CBP
fucking
officers
Satanists
that drove these vehicles onto the freeway, who have now left them here? I don't think they can access them. They would need some kind of police escort to clear these people from the surrounding overpasses, because they would find themselves under assault, as their vehicles have been for hours now.
It's terrifying just thinking that looking at the damage on their cars, knowing that there could have been a police officer inside that unit when they threw that lime scooter, but luckily we just saw something else get thrown at that vehicle as well. Luckily, we think that those officers are not there. So
no shit.
Yeah,
there's
that's
tons of shit
another
being
question.
thrown,
Where are
lady.
those officers? And when they come back to their cars, they really just have to be careful.
Oh, we just saw something get thrown. Yeah, no shit. Every one of those cars is destroyed.
I wasn't even thinking about the northbound side and those drivers. They're fine right now. They're fine, but thinking if this can,
people are gunning shit at them too.
More, I mean, their safety is at risk as well.
Look at them. They're throwing it at fucking cars that have nothing to do with it.
The California Lieutenant Governor Lenny Kounalakis says there will likely be a lawsuit filed tomorrow challenging President Trump's decision to federalize those national
lawsuit. Good luck
in Los Angeles. So the governor of California is moving for the president to rescind that order, and now the lieutenant governor says there will be a lawsuit filed tomorrow trying to undo that move by President Trump to federalize the California National Guard members.
Newsom should be put in fucking jail for allowing this.
Who's coming out looking better here? The president,
Karen Bass, too,
order, is doing whatever he can to gain that, and says there are California National Guardsmen and women who are here who can do this. I'm federalizing them. I want peace. You have
look at him throwing shit.
And the lieutenant governor now fighting that order, obviously on
just pegging cop cars one after another.
Right.
Both sides want peace, but in the eyes of the nation and the world, who comes out on top?
Chucking tons of shit.
Right. It's become a clash. Unfortunately, this has just become a clash.
Oh, there goes a sign.
Not only
off a cop car,
the government and the federal level, but also protesters as well. So they're mixed in the middle of all of this.
Bunch of fucking morons.
So, as we sit on this shot, I wonder if
Night console is complete.
America is in trouble. Certain parts of America. The retarded parts.
And benches and tables taken from Gloria Molina Grand Park, which for some reason were not secured to the ground, and they are now in the middle of the road.
Gavin Newsom should be telling people to go home.
City Hall, used as a barricade to protect themselves from an onslaught of less than lethal flashbangs and pepper balls that have been volleyed from the folks on the LAPD trying to break this up. We have not seen much movement here in the last hour in this situation, and it appears there's a line of mounted officers that remains there at that intersection just outside at the corner of City Hall there, and down the street you can see those barricades that are...
Why do they let them build the barricade up more?
As we clear the shot of these trees, you will see those pink benches stood up on their sides. We have flags of various South...
They ripped all the benches out of the ground and took them.
And it seems we have arrived at an impasse.
And yeah, looking at this, it makes you think that I think we had a very similar setup just about 30 minutes ago. So it makes you think that half an hour passed by and we are not seeing any progress really being made. Like, you're thinking, what are the police waiting for? Are they thinking that this is just going to play out? Are protesters going to get tired? But we have seen a very similar...
No, these motherfuckers are on drugs. They're not going to get tired.
Not just that last half hour, but hours.
Probably all on Adderall and fucking meth.
The chairs and
SSRIs.
Barricaded there.
So Spring Street has been taken over. The steps of City Hall have now been lined with protesters.
Bunch of tweakers.
A short time ago, LA Mayor Karen Bass held a press conference just inside this building where these protesters were happening. Tim Caputo said you could hear the explosions happening outside. Let's listen into a little bit of what LA Mayor Karen Bass had to say.
Karen Bass looks like she combs her hair with a stick of dynamite.
In LA is chaos caused by the administration. People should exercise their right to protest. That's their First Amendment right. But people should also exercise that right peacefully. We do not want to play into the administration's hands. We're working with officials, we're organizing resources, but what we're seeing in Los Angeles is chaos that is provoked by the administration. When you raid Home Depot and workplaces, when you tear parents and children apart, and when you run armored caravans through our streets, you cause fear and you cause panic.
Oh,
and
God.
deploying federalized troops is a dangerous...
If people weren't here illegally, it wouldn't have to happen.
Be real about this. This is about another agenda. It's not about public safety. There's clearly no plan, and there is clearly no policy. I want the people of Los Angeles to know that we stand with all Angelenos, no matter where you were born. The First Amendment right gives you the ability, again, to protest peacefully. But it does not give
you don't have amendment rights if you're not from the United States, stupid.
Or to vandalize property, and that will not be tolerated. So
really?
I call on all Angelenos.
Looks like they're destroying property.
Expressing your
looks like it's being tolerated.
Your outrage, but to do it peacefully. And I just have to say that all of you were there Friday. Everybody knows what happened Friday. A workplace, several workplaces were targeted and raids took place.
I hope Trump sends in the Marines.
The administration said they were just looking for
lock them all up.
Felons.
The ones that don't belong here, send them home.
It's hard to say that that's what they found at a workplace or in a Home Depot parking lot. When this happens, it terrifies people. It sends a sense of fear and chaos in our city. And you well remember a few years ago in the last administration that kids were afraid to go to school. Parents were afraid to go to work. This impacts all of our city.
I'm so glad I don't live in that dump. Thank you, Jesus.
Workforce, and then expect for people
Thank you,
to
Lord.
get the jobs done. So if you
At least you didn't do that to me.
Father that went into a factory and now his family doesn't know where he is. The detainees have not been allowed to speak to legal counsel. That is a marked departure from what has happened in the past. When you think of a mother that might be working in a household, taking care of children on another side of town, that impacts that family as well as her family. And so this is something that I think should not be happening in our city. And I join with the governor in appealing to the administration to rescind the order to federalize the National Guard.
What a bunch of maniacs.
The National Guard to come back under the control of the governor.
And that was LA.
The governor should have put the National Guard out, you stupid bitch.
Has been caused by, provoked by President Trump and the Trump administration and their policies
nut job.
Los Angeles and immigration and immigrants in our city. As we were listening to the mayor, exactly what we were talking about played out.
You got to be crazy to support that shit. You got to be a nut.
Beneath that overpass, and they were met.
Nothing about this protest is peaceful.
Rocks and bottles and other things being thrown off that overpass. And as we said, if they want to have any movement to get these vehicles out of there, that overpass is going to have to be cleared by law enforcement.
Send the Marines in.
Folks, something else large just got thrown. It looks like a pillow, but I do not think that was a pillow, given the force of what is
probably a
sitting
bag
on
of
the
shit
windshield of that vehicle. What is that?
It looks like some kind of maybe a bag
of
with
something,
like
yeah,
maybe a bag of rocks or some kind of heavy thing in the bag. But yeah, we see
that could be. We saw folks gathering things on the ground for a long time. It could be they were filling up a bag, and perhaps here comes another scooter.
Yeah, let's ruin someone else's property again.
I'm surprised this has been allowed to continue for as long as it has. You see the size of those rocks. Here goes another scooter.
Oh, you couldn't even hit a fucking free throw.
At this point, what does it matter?
Idiot.
These things, the damage is so severe on these vehicles that are just beneath the roadway. But I'm curious to see whether someone with a hammer is getting these rocks, because you see the size of the chunks of
How could you support this shit?
Looks like movement.
Oh, they went through that barrier quick.
Moved in now and broken up this.
Look how quick that was over with.
Benches and chairs, and the LAPD
fucking idiots
now through with those mounted officers and the demonstrators who were gathered here.
Let them use all that energy to set it up. Took it out in 2 seconds.
Spring Street. This is south down Spring towards LAPD headquarters, ironically enough. And you can see
walking them right to jail.
Left. Green of Molina Park is off to the right.
The commentator just said that they're walking towards the LA County jail. Imagine if they lead them all towards the jail and the cops are just waiting there arresting everyone. That'd be fucking hilarious. That would make my night.
And the smoke lingers in the air here as officers are working.
Keep walking towards the jail.
Through this area.
But just the fact they took those benches and those chairs from Gloria Molina Park, that's just insane. It's mind-blowing. And here we have the...
What a way to cherish Gloria Molina.
Enforcement going in, putting those benches
I'm sure
down.
she was a Mexican woman.
Clearing that out of the road
Way to...
soon, but
Let's go see what's happening.
Way to do the right thing in the Mexican woman's name. Destroy the park named after her.
And again, another stretch of roadway that's just
idiots
reclaimed by the LAPD.
Yeah.
Where will these demonstrators go next?
Exactly.
Has this run out of steam? It's been a long.
Where do we go now?
Los Angeles. At what point does this
Where do we go?
Does this calm down and these folks go home?
Where do we go now?
Tonight, as we've seen the last 2 nights, and seen
where do we go?
Confrontation with law enforcement.
Where do we go now?
We are at a showdown. Those LAPD officers are standing in the middle of Spring Street. This is the middle. This is the main
sweet child of mine.
Over to City Hall. You see that brick walkway there in the middle, normally full of buses making their way through, and a lot of people. But tonight, the only people that are making their way through are the police.
They said there was hundreds of thousands of people there.
I'm curious.
There's not even 1,000 right there.
They're going to go. I mean, is there even anything left at the park?
There's a couple thousand people there. It's not thousands or hundreds of thousands.
Chairs, or are they just going to stand there now? And now that they are pretty much defenseless, is this where it's going to start fizzling down and we see some more progress being made? It looks like we have a police car pulling up to something.
A little more movement, yeah.
Yeah.
As we watch what's playing here on Spring Street, I wonder
Get
if
the
we can
ammo.
go a little bit to the left and see what's playing
He's
out.
just
the
pulling up
federal
with the ammo.
complex. This is pretty close. So remember, this is the site of that large demonstration around 2 o'clock today. We'll show you how far it is from the rest of the activity. So this is the overpass. This is on Los Angeles Street.
Fucking idiots.
Looks like these vehicles are now being moved. The overpass has been cleared.
Oh, they got them out of there too, that quick?
This had to happen. At some point, this was going on for way too long. Those vehicles were sustaining way too much damage, and we'll wait and see what kind of damage was done to the overpass itself.
More fireworks going off.
Yeah, more explosives going off here, and we see a canister being kicked on the roadway here.
I also want to know.
They're throwing shit at cops down below.
There is some movement here. Watch what these
shoot that
officers are
motherfucker.
doing on
Hit him
the
with a rubber bullet.
Freeway. They're looking out for more people. Yeah, the volleying of projectiles continues. It looks like
hit him with a rubber bullet.
They were able to clear the overpass from below.
They're throwing shit at the cops. It's not the cops doing it. Look.
Throwing fireworks.
They're throwing fireworks at the cops.
Officers.
They tried to say it was the cops throwing fucking
Traffic
tear gas and smoke
on
bombs.
the northbound side, and here you see somebody throw something.
They're throwing it. They're throwing fucking fireworks at the cops. Real nice.
Side. I don't know what the fortifications.
Better hope they don't get hit with an M80.
Underpass, but these CHP vehicles have been here for hours. I assume that those officers that we're seeing now that they have been beneath there this entire
Nothing's
time.
illegal in California,
Saw
Jet.
those who were arrested,
even if it is
the 101 and the on ramp, and they were taken away. They weren't taken into downtown. They were taken down back onto the 101 freeway where those CHP vehicles.
What a
were
fucking
parked,
zoo.
And you assume driven off to detention.
But they ran like cowards right away.
There remain some vehicles.
There was hundreds, if not thousands, of people there. 2 minutes ago, they were all gone.
Under that overpass, I'm more curious to know exactly how are they able to clear out the people.
Run
who
like
are
a
on
bunch
that
of
overpass.
bitches.
Because we looked at it just about 10 minutes ago and it was packed.
Right.
We had so many protesters there, but so quickly they got rid of them, and I think that's when the police felt safe enough. They came
Only
out
in
under the
California.
overpass, but unfortunately, they're getting fireworks thrown at them. But it looks like it has stopped. We have some more movement here.
Yeah, it looks like the airbags deployed in this from everything being thrown on top of it. So trying to get in here and access this, maybe just putting it into neutral. So
I'm surprised.
I think his legs. I don't think that officer is sitting there. I think they're kind of pushing on the gas pedal, perhaps, because that airbag is fully deployed. I think he's climbing under it. You can see him lifting it back up to emerge back from the vehicle. So maybe putting it in neutral so they can push these vehicles out of the way, struggling to get the airbag out of the way.
Look at them. They're throwing more shit at the cops.
Smoke canister thrown from up
Another
above
smoke canister.
down onto the surface. So we'll see if this officer is able to move this vehicle again under attack. An onslaught of
Look
projectiles
at
being
throwing rocks at the fucking cop from up top.
That is assault on a law enforcement officer.
Just hit him.
Right there, throwing directly a rock at that officer who was not in a
There's that
vehicle,
douchebag.
exposed
Get
at
him.
the time, and there I believe that
Fucking
was the person
coward.
that was doing it.
It's all caught on camera. But where
Keep
are
him on
the
camera.
officers here that moved in on the protesters?
I'm not
Where
sure
are
they did. I'm not sure they did. I think the officers on the surface of the 101 might have fired tear gas up above, because I don't
That
see.
makes sense why they dispersed so
exactly.
quickly.
I don't see any officers up on that level. Everything seems to be down, and here we just saw.
What a
something thrown,
fucking
and I don't
mess.
think
Look
it
at the
made it to
rocks.
The southbound side, it might have fallen.
Fucking
into
boulders
oncoming traffic
everywhere.
on the northbound side.
That's another concern. Yeah, the southbound drivers.
There you go. You can see something in the middle of
And
the
there's
road.
rocks on the
Just
other
throwing a
side.
couple things, cans,
Throwing shit at the
perhaps,
people that have nothing to
water,
do with it.
Rocks, and here we go. So you see officers running because it's too dangerous to move slowly when they emerge from beneath this overpass. Just an unbelievable scene of CHP officers sprinting for their own safety as other officers step out to cover them as projectiles continue to be thrown. And we'll see from this side whether anyone manages or dares to throw anything. But this officer now moving pretty quickly, knowing that they're likely to face, there you go, something
Look
thrown.
at, they're
into
throwing
that
shit at him
vehicle.
still.
So,
Fucking
how long
animals.
this has been allowed to go on. It's been hours.
Animals.
You see the amount and the size of the chunks of concrete that were thrown onto the roadway here. If that hit a person, it could easily kill them.
Another fucking firework.
Firework thrown down there. So these three vehicles
Blaming the cops for shit. Get the fuck out of here. It's these morons.
Anyone is able to get back in there. The one furthest to the left has the airbags deployed. I don't know if that's drivable.
Coward
If you can
fucks.
Move that tonight. But we see LAPD officers not too far away from here. They cleared those folks out from the middle of Spring Street.
Oklahoma City won
While
by
all this was
14.
playing out, officers here from the CHP under siege from these demonstrators. And you talk about peaceful demonstrations. What we are seeing, that is not peaceful.
No.
The folks that are gathered on that overpass are violent. They are not peaceful protesters. And we are seeing their assault on law enforcement continue.
We just saw it right in front of our eyes, exactly the assault on the police
Please
officers
like,
and
share,
those,
subscribe to Nate's
officers
Live
running
Talk.
for their lives. Right now, it looks
We're
like
supposed to check out the basketball game. It turned into a blowout.
facing off against
Checking out some of the downtown
they did clear
riot
these two
in LA.
out fairly quickly, that barricaded area and also the overpass. And I'm curious how many other scenes we have, how many gatherings of groups we have. Right now, it looks like
It's going to
this
get
is
dark
one
soon in LA.
demonstrator, and officers seem
See
to
if
be
this
firing
escalates.
something at this demonstrator. This demonstrator just seems to be walking
Yeah, just challenging them to do something now. So their protection.
Yeah, of course
has been
he is.
taken down. You can see one bench there. Someone.
I'm gonna lay on a
down,
bench
yeah.
like I'm protesting.
Skateboard as protection. So these folks just kind of taunting those officers.
Fucking idiots.
It brings up the question that Tim Caputo was asking earlier, and quoting someone else. Would these folks still be here if the LAPD had backed off at this point? But
yes,
the violence kind of
they would still be here.
Negates that question. As long as people are acting like this, the LAPD needs to stay here. And here we have officers on the back of this armored
sheriff's
pickup truck.
A SWAT team, possibly.
That's sheriffs. Stupid.
Okay.
Yeah, that's sheriff. Or
fucking broads are idiots.
Sheriff. Yeah, it says sheriff on the door. So those are.
I'm not even from California. You could tell they're sheriffs.
Full, in tactical gear. I don't know if it's full tactical gear. Have tactical equipment on, and looks like reinforcements are now moving in as.
Time to whoop some fucking ass. Here we go.
Are moving onto the
ding,
scene.
Ding, ding, ding.
Perhaps there was a call when those CHP officers came under attack, and that's why these guys are moving in. We'll see.
Maybe
you can do it through Super Chat.
It definitely.
Or through.
Went a step ahead of what I'm sure a lot of them were expecting. Because
Cash
we
App.
saw those officers get attacked.
Nate's live on Cash App or Super
You're
Chat.
Right, that did spark them wanting to move in.
And so a crowd is once again gathering on the overpass. I believe this is still Los Angeles Street.
There they are, chucking more shit.
And these demonstrators continue to
back for more.
Volley concrete and bottles. There's a large chunk.
Oh, that was a good one.
That vehicle once again. So where is this coming from? Where is all this concrete being removed from to be able to be thrown onto the roadway? And what kind of damage is that doing to the overpass infrastructure here in downtown Los Angeles? There is a lot of concrete on that roadway. Where did it come from? It had to come from somewhere, and chunks like that are not just sitting on the side of the road. So here they are scattered.
Oh, there were chunks.
Tear gas canister was deployed back up on.
There were cinder blocks sitting on the side of the road.
Moving in.
You can break a cinder block easy.
They would have to be a couple blocks away from City Hall where we saw them gathering.
Yeah, it has to be.
Look at them throwing more fireworks at cops.
I believe they threw, but. Possibly tear gas. That was a pretty large crowd. Again, we saw it clear out.
Yeah, only when I cover politics is the only time it does well anymore.
I feel like it's just a matter.
I'm just sick of covering politics. Sick of covering this stupid shit.
Throwing the concrete. The officers have left.
It's stupidity.
Cars left. They're heavily damaged. It makes you just wonder why.
I feel like I'm watching little kids that can't get their way.
It is the destruction. It's likely the destruction
with
of
pink and purple hair.
We see this after sporting events, the burning of
burn
couches,
American flags,
ripping down of goalposts. This is the kind of thing that people of a certain age just like to do. And I am generalizing somewhat. There could be some women, some females involved in this, and older people, but generally we see. In a gathering like this, you start to get a mob mentality where some people are doing it and you just kind of lose your inhibitions as here goes another scooter down onto the roadway below.
Fucking loser. You couldn't even hit it from 2 feet away.
To the infrastructure, to the vehicles of the CHP.
All that to not even hit the car.
To the scooters and the bikes that are provided for the public to use are now no longer available, and this will cost money to replace. Money that has been spent by our tax dollars to procure is now unavailable.
It makes you wonder, how much is the city going to have to spend now? This is thousands and thousands of dollars.
They should put a fence around California.
So unnecessary.
And you want to live in California, you can't leave California.
No, this is not moving.
So this shit don't spread.
Northbound side that's moving, which honestly, I'm so glad that the northbound side is still.
Seattle and Portland are just as bad, though.
Demonstrators have left it alone, but we are zooming back in.
West Coast
into that police vehicle. Again,
is nutty.
Some sort of bag, and it looks.
East Coast is crazy too, but they don't allow this shit like that.
Yeah.
Yep, that is now on fire.
This would never happen in New York, not to this level.
Burns out, if it fizzles out. We've
They
already
can't
seen
allow it.
Vehicles go up in flames. Those unmanned Waymos that were lit on fire. So is this an incendiary or is this to extinguish? It was an extinguisher. Okay, good. All right, so that fire, nope, that is still burning.
Wow.
You can see it right on the windshield. What was the windshield is now kind of caved into this vehicle, and that fire is.
I saw a guy throw something on the windshield
on that. I guess
and then threw a firework
ingress.
And now there's
into
a
the
small
vehicle.
fire, it
If
looks
the fire
like.
lands just on a vehicle that's off on the windshield and the hood, nothing should theoretically catch fire.
Yeah,
Throwing
just
rocks
seeing
at
this
cars that have
damage,
nothing to
just
do with
gives
it.
you a glimpse of how
Fucking
upset
bums.
and just frustrated these protesters are, and it just makes you want to tell them, like, hey, LAPD is not ICE. You know, why are you doing this? LAPD is supposed to be there to protect you. They don't like that they're in this situation either. Why continue this chaos? But it just goes to show that mentality. They're upset.
Right. And
loses.
Just a couple blocks away, we saw another crowd gathered outside City Hall as these folks are regathering on this overpass and continuing to volley chunks of concrete, now incendiaries, scooters, and bikes off of this overpass onto those CHP vehicles below. We believe there are still officers and other vehicles beneath this overpass. And we'll see how this plays out. We are expecting to hear from Loyola Law Professor Jessica Levinson. I don't know if she has joined us yet.
Oh,
but
great. Just
we
what
are
we want to
waiting
hear
her
from.
to join us because there is quite a bit to talk about, constitutionally speaking, as you now have the governor of California at odds legally with the president of the United States. The President Trump federalized 2,000 members of the California National Guard, as we have said multiple times today, but we will explain it once again. This is not an uncommon thing for a president to federalize National Guards members. It has happened many times in our country's history. It hasn't happened many times even recently here in Los Angeles. Federal Guards troops were deployed to help out in the aftermath of the fires. They were deployed in 2020 with the civil unrest, with everything that happened during that eventful year. But that's initiated at the request of the governor. The governor is considered the commander-in-chief of every state's National Guard, and that did not happen here. We have the president usurping the authority of the governor to take over California National Guards members and deploy them onto the streets of that city. The governor of California is now disputing that, asking, demanding, requesting that the president rescind that order and return control to the governor and the state of California. We heard from CNN reporting that the lieutenant governor, Eleni Kounalakis, says that a lawsuit will be filed tomorrow to try and overturn that decision of President Trump to federalize those troops. This has not happened in our country's history, at least in recent memory, that I can think of since the civil rights era. We're talking since the 60s, when there was pushback against civil rights advancements. John F. Kennedy federalized the troops to help black students attend public school in states like Alabama and others, when George Wallace and the like were refusing to follow federal law and depriving U.S. citizens of their constitutional rights to attend school. That was the last time I believe that this has happened against the wishes of a governor, seeing their own National Guards members taken over. That is a little bit different than this. That was to enforce federal law that the governor was refusing to do. In this situation, what is the justification to do this without the governor's request? So that has opened up
it's different, like a different part of history
that
we're
one of the
writing.
questions that we would love to pose to Jessica Levinson whenever she is able to join us. We are also awaiting at the top of the hour a law enforcement briefing with the LAPD. We expect to hear from Chief Jim McDonnell. We know LA County Sheriff Robert Luna is also involved in these discussions, and we saw some of his deputies as we see these demonstrators lighting a piece of cardboard on fire. They are intent on burning more cars tonight.
Unreal.
We'll see if it happens here. One of them is a CHP cruiser that has been
Someone threw something on that car to make it catch fire.
I don't really like committing to things. I'm scared. But when Verizon announced,
I saw a guy throw powder on it.
3 years. I mean, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
They gotta only have like an hour of daylight left.
Fire, but
That's
again,
definitely coming from under the overpass then. So there are some police officers still there then. That shows they're still there.
Correct. And so we do also expect and hope to hear from the governor, who is in Los Angeles meeting with federal local officials here LAPD, LASD, and we believe that he will be speaking at this press briefing at the top of the hour. As we await that, as we await Professor Levinson, we continue to watch this chaos play out on the streets of Los Angeles. That
Must be a
includes
landscaper.
the surface streets, which are the domain of Los Angeles, and the 101 freeway, which is the domain of the California Highway Patrol, which you can tell by these 3 CHP vehicles, which are now battered and dented after hours of projectiles being thrown at them.
And you can see an even larger crowd gathering now on, I believe that's still just the side of the overpass. The overpass still has a lot, but you can see more on the side, and they don't seem like they're going anywhere. It's getting late. We're getting close to sunset. Sunset's going to happen in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So unfortunately, it looks like this protest has made it into the evening hours.
This riot.
It starts getting dark, and then that raises more questions. What's going to happen when things get dark? Is that maybe where law enforcement draws the line and they say, okay, that's it. We need to, stop this right now and then go a different route? Or are they going to continue what they're doing and like what we've been seeing, let things fizzle out, play out, and then move in with the horses, move in with those to those barricaded areas? It's interesting to see like what their move is, especially as it's getting dark.
Right, the LAPD Central Division throwing out a traffic advisory saying due to demonstrators throwing objects onto the southbound lanes of the 101 freeway and damaging multiple police vehicles, the 101 southbound freeway will remain closed until further notice. This
Nice job. Shut down an important highway on people.
To get the
Way to go, LA.
out of this area, but to
Fuck over the people that are going home from work.
You have
that actually have
California
lives.
Highway Patrol vehicles that will likely need to be towed. They
The
could
working
be
man
under-
pays
we'll
once
see how
again.
damaged they are. Then you have, hundreds of pounds of concrete.
Imagine working all day on your Sunday. You say you had to work today. And you're trying to get home. And you need that highway to get home. And you can't get home now for an extra couple hours. Because of fucking morons like this. You're trying to survive. You can barely pay your bills. You work hard. Did everything you're supposed to do. Trying to be a good American. A good person. And you got to go drive around way out of the way to go get home because animals want to do what animals do. Fucking, once again, American, the hardworking American gets fucked. Every way possible. It's really, that's what frustrates me on top of everything else. A lot of people work on Sunday. They're fucked. How are they getting home? They got to go all the way around, probably 40, 50 minutes out of their way. Find another way. Because some morons want to be babies over illegal immigrants that aren't citizens that have to leave. It's nuts.
That have now accumulated after being thrown from this overpass onto the roadway. That's not something you can just easily...
Right. How do you clean that up?
Right. Are you going to kick it off to the side of the road? Do you need a...
Or get hit with a brick. Exactly,
crews
Jet.
coming through and gathering them.
Driving home, someone smashes your shit up.
To do that. And so...
Get you in an accident, hurt you.
To be handled. We do have, as we await the press conference at the top of the hour, we do have Professor Jessica Levinson
Blaming
joining
Trump.
us tonight. And boy, Professor, we have some questions to talk about with you tonight. I don't know if we have
she
8
looks real
minutes to the
bright.
top of the hour. Let's try and fit as much in as we possibly can. First, what's on your mind as you watch what's playing out in Los Angeles tonight and the battle now between California Governor Gavin Newsom?
Loyola Marymount University law professor.
So I think what's on my mind is what's on everybody's mind, which is what happens next? What happens overnight? What happens tomorrow? Will we see a significant escalation? If there is an
See if she's going to be a libtard or tell us the law straight up.
We could see the president say, I need to do more. We could see the president potentially, again, pull the cord and say, I need to invoke the Insurrection Act. As I'm sure you've been talking about, the Insurrection Act would give the president more authority to not just federalize the National Guard, but to say that the National Guard can actually act as domestic law enforcement, that the military on U.S. soil can search, can seize, can arrest. That's
Lock 'em all
not
the fuck
something
up.
that we're accustomed to. So I'm looking to see, obviously, what's happening right now, but also how the situation evolves and how the president reacts.
And we have seen the president allude to the fact that and we're watching, sorry, Professor, there's a split screen here on the right side of your screen. We're seeing continued demonstrations, and a firebomb was just thrown down off of the 101 freeway overpass onto one of those CHP vehicles below, which is now burning. We'll see if they're able to put that out with fire retardant from below. There's a fire extinguisher I believe they're deploying, but that looks like it's going to go. It looked like it was some kind of ball of fuel, whether it's alcohol or gas, lobbed off of this overpass, and that CHP vehicle is now on fire.
Yeah, that's peaceful.
We're having this conversation with these scenes playing out, Professor. We have heard the president twice within the last hour
throwing fucking fireworks at the cops right down below.
Some of them violent and clearly breaking the law.
Scumbags.
Insurrectionists. We have heard Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth
them idiots right above the cops that just dropping fireworks on their heads.
From Camp Pendleton onto the streets of Los Angeles. If the
Watch, you're gonna drop more.
Is that allowed? Can the president of the United States legally, in a situation like this, deploy under the Insurrection Act, U.S. military to fight U.S. citizens on U.S. soil?
Okay, so in a situation like this is going to be the key. This is going to be where the fighting is. So let's talk really briefly about the federal statutes at issue here. We all know that the president can only act when there's something that gives him the power to act, or there's inherent constitutional power. In this case, what the president is pointing to is Title VII. This is not the Insurrection Act, Title X. Title X allows the president to federalize the National Guard and to allow them to act.
Governor and mayor aren't doing shit. They're blaming Trump for everything.
Federal law enforcement. They can help protect federal agents. They can help protect federal property, but they cannot act like law
They said it's Trump's fault.
officials and again perform searches.
Trump caused this, Newsom said.
Like ICE agents. But if things continue, you asked me about the
Karen Bass agreed.
Obviously, the president has been using certain language today. What happens next? The Insurrection Act is an exception to the Posse Comitatus Act. Posse Comitatus Act says you can't use the military as direct domestic law enforcement. You can't have that happen, again, unless there are certain exigent or emergency circumstances. The Insurrection Act would present those emergency circumstances. So for me, the real legal question is, are we in a situation where the president can point to that?
The longer it goes on, the more likely it is.
Insurrection Act and say, yes, we can move forward. We cannot just have the National Guard, but have them perform those domestic law enforcement agency actions.
This is a president.
You got to be a tool shed if you think these people are right.
And law itself.
That are rioting.
What would happen?
There's no right to do this.
Insurrectionists, invokes the Insurrection Act, deploys U.S. military, and what is who can stop him? He's the president of the United States. If he does that, let's say Marines show up in Los Angeles, who's going to stop them?
So I think at that point you would have California having standing to sue. I'm not saying it's going to be a successful suit. I'm saying they would have standing to sue. The argument would be that the president is infringing on state sovereignty because he doesn't have the power under the Insurrection Act.
Please like, share, subscribe.
Insurrection Act that you should have.
We cover sports, politics, popular news.
Now there have been. Let's discuss.
We'll be covering the NHL Finals, Game 3 tomorrow.
History where the president has said, "I'm sending in troops." That was really about implementing desegregation decisions during the Civil Rights era. We haven't seen the Insurrection Act, in my view, used in modern times.
The longer this goes on, it gives Trump more power.
Long answer to your question of what would happen. California would.
The governor's just allowing his state to be destroyed.
The president doesn't have the power, and then we would be in another court battle. We would have a federal judge.
Imagine trying to justify this happening and blaming Trump. Imagine how whacked out you got to be and brainwashed to think Trump caused this. He didn't do anything. He's fucking deporting illegal immigrants like he's allowed to do. Like everyone voted for. You got to be a lunatic. You got to be a nut.
likely a number of federal judges making that decision.
It is incredible that we are asking these questions in the United States, that this is even in the realm of possibility of something that can happen. But
you got
Professor
wires
Jessica
touching.
Levinson, I would love to sit and talk with you more. Unfortunately, we're facing a time crunch here at the top of the hour. We're waiting LAPD's press conference. So thank you so much. I would love to talk to you, and I hope we can talk to you about this, and hopefully not about some of the outcomes that we're talking about are possibilities here. Jessica, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, as we approach the top of the hour, we are going to kind of wrap up this portion of our coverage as we get ready for the LAPD press conference. We'll wait to see if California Governor Gavin Newsom will be taking part. He did post a picture of himself with the chief of police of the LAPD and the LA County Sheriff Robert Luna, that he is in Los Angeles. He is working with those jurisdictions to see what is going to play out and how to best address this situation. But we're going to switch over some crews here as we get ready. So we will continue to cover. You'll
What a
see
fucking
this
dump.
7 picture of what is happening in downtown
Not a
Los
piece of
Angeles.
grass
Calming
anywhere.
down except for that one pocket over the 101
Just
freeway where we
fucking
see
bullshit
demonstrators
and
continue
concrete.
to hurl objects down at the CHP vehicles below. But stay with us. We are not going anywhere. We will bring you that LAPD press conference here in just about 1 minute as we continue our coverage here on Eyewitness News, streaming and online for Eyewitness News.
Here comes the cavalry. I'd love to see a horse run over the top about 3 or 4 of these morons. Just trample them. Mr. Ed and 5 of his homies run full force through the fucking barricade. What a fucking zoo. Smog. Cars on fire. Choppers everywhere. Sheriff's getting footage of everything. The problem is no one will... If they try to prosecute people, the judges in fucking California and the laws, it's just going to let them right out of jail. Fucking zoo. This is why no one voted for Democrats. Nobody wants this shit. A small portion of the country likes this shit. Not many.
This is Eyewitness News.
Most normal people, they don't give a fuck about this shit. Normal people aren't for this stuff. Only the cuckoo clocks.
Freeway setting fire on they are not responding to the protests in order to quell them, and that is why he is calling in the National Guard. The chief of police of Los Angeles, Jim McDonnell, is going to speak to the news media and to the citizens of Los Angeles. We expect that to happen at any moment. In the meantime, this has been a momentous day here in Southern California, where these protests that began downtown at City Hall and at the Federal Building Complex, including the Hall of Administration and the Justice Department there and the courthouse. Those two crowds merged later this afternoon and became a huge throng of more than 1,000 people and began marching around different areas of downtown Los Angeles, City Hall, and elsewhere. There has been violence directed at police and at members of ICE. What you're looking at now are live pictures from Air 7.
Stomp them out.
LA police
Run them over. Get the fuck out of the way.
Demonstrators out. It has been a pretty amazing
Running
day
now.
in Southern California. Another crazy day of things happening. Let's go to Tim Caputo, who has been out in the middle of it for much of the afternoon. Tim, what do you see?
Well, Mark, you really nailed it on the head there. It has been a crazy day, and as the sun starts to go down, the concern, obviously, is things escalate from here. It's kind of interesting as you see the different layers.
Listen to the fireworks they're throwing.
To get a broader vantage point, partially because the area we were on Los Angeles Street earlier was getting a little bit hairy. You can see down the 101 beneath us with all the overpasses and people on essentially every single overpass as police have moved in. Tommy, come to my right here to show these officers who have lined up on the street. We actually saw a number of sheriff's deputies come in on those big trucks with their tactical gear here to assist the LAPD as they try to move this crowd or get some sort of control out here this afternoon. Where we're standing is up on Hill Street. It gives you a vantage point of everything that's going on down below. If you look to my left here on the hill, this has grown throughout the day, and this is something that we've seen not just here a little bit
all illegals
down at Union Station as well. People are showing up. People are still coming out. People heard what's
yeah, let me take my kids to its fucking
what's going on, and so the crowd is not necessarily getting smaller. It may be dissipating
Riot
in certain areas, but in a lot of ways it's getting bigger. The folks up here taking some photo, live streaming, being part of it from a distance. As you get a little bit closer, you can start to see and hear where the fireworks are going off. The police department, obviously, both LAPD, the sheriff's department, and CHP in a bit of a difficult spot because of the.
This is going to get ugly when it goes dark, I think.
And then you have the roads that go around the buildings, both Federal Building and City Hall, over on the south side of the 101. There is a lot of area to cover, and it seems as though, from what we've seen both down below and up here, as they start to move a crowd and it seems to dissipate, people just work their way around. They come up the street, they go around the street. So getting control here is almost impossible. So what they're trying to do is get things.
How'd it start? A bunch of people can't control their emotions.
To go home, I can tell you, Mark, from being out here on Friday night, from being in Compton last night, that is a tall order.
Indeed, there are a lot of demonstrators that they still have to deal with. Let's get more from Gabe Santos. He's in Air 7. This is over the freeway bridge under which several CHP vehicles were abandoned after people started throwing scooters and concrete at those vehicles, damaging them, placing the lives of the officers inside them in danger. Let's get more from Gabe about how that situation is now.
Yeah, Mark, this is the situation above the 101 freeway. You have a couple of bridges here. That's the Alameda Street Bridge, and then over to the right is the Los Angeles Street Bridge. And on that bridge, you had a number of protesters throwing things down on the CHP vehicles below. Those CHP vehicles were parked there from, as you see a firework, or parts of a firework going through the shot. Those CHP vehicles were parked there a number of hours ago, about 2 or 3 hours ago, when protesters came onto the freeway and were blocking the southbound of the 101 freeway. CHP moved in, they moved those protesters out, and they controlled that situation, but they left a number of those vehicles there onto the freeway. Eventually, some of those protesters on the overpass on the Los Angeles Street Bridge started chipping pieces of concrete away from the sidewalk and finding other things to throw down, like bird scooters and other electric bicycles, and they
Mark, you're brainwashed. Gavin Newsom couldn't put the fucking wildfires under control. Trump told them during his last presidency to get rid of all that brush. They never did. There's wildfires all the time in California, just not when Trump's president. I'm trying to let you use your free speech, but don't lie. Don't lie. You have Trump derangement syndrome. Get over it.
Started throwing them down onto the CHP vehicles below. Earlier in our live streaming coverage, you saw that CHP vehicle right there was actually set on fire. It looks as if it may not be a total loss in terms of being completely inoperable, but it may no longer be drivable. You see those CHP units there under the overpass there, trying to figure out how to move that vehicle out of the way. The other vehicles, they appear to have been able to.
This is what happens when you give people free shit and let them take control of your own country. They came to America and got more than Americans that go to work. Why do you think this is happening? That's part of it. That's a good point.
In here as well, we've seen Rescue 5. That's that very large sea stallion.
Gabe, I need to stop you right now. LA Police Chief Jim McDonnell is about to speak. Let's hear him.
Oh, Mark, stop it. Mark gotta go. just blames Trump for everything. Like every politician doesn't do that. Stop it. Biden sold this country out worse than anyone.
Good.
Stop it.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I know it's a very, very busy time. Thank you all for coming here.
Stop it.
And allowing us the opportunity to be able to.
The Bidens made tons of money and power.
What's going on and what we
with Ukraine. Stop it.
Truly an ask for peace throughout our city. I'm joined here
You're
by
not going to spew
Gerald Woodyard,
bullshit.
Deputy
I'll block
Chief
you.
from Operations West Bureau, Herman Hurtado, from Commander from.
You're not going to spread misinformation here, Mark.
And from Operations Central Bureau, Raul Jovel, who's also
Matter of fact, I heard
commander
enough
for Central Bureau and for this this incident. So I
Heard
want to
enough
just
of
take
you,
an
Mark.
opportunity to speak directly to the people of Los
I tried to
Angeles,
give you a chance.
clarify LAPD's roles and the events that have been playing out over these past couple of days. This includes our response to protests, our public safety responsibilities, and recent claims that you've seen made by some federal officials. Today, I met with Governor Newsom, Mayor Bass, U.S. Attorney General of Central District of California, Bill
Give me a
Nassili,
second.
and ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons. Let me begin by reaffirming a core principle. The LAPD supports and protects the First Amendment right to free speech. In recent days, many protests across the city.
Hit the wrong button,
We thank the community
Sorry.
for expressing their views and their frustration
Bye,
in
Mark.
a responsible manner.
Go spew your misinformation elsewhere.
Evolve into acts of vandalism or violence, especially violence directed at innocent people, law enforcement officers.
You're not
and
going to
others,
spread misinformation
we
here.
must respond firmly. An act of violence, whether toward officers, demonstrators, or the public, will be met with swift and lawful action. Our goal is to maintain order without escalating conflict and to protect everybody's right to safety. Recent public statements have misrepresented
Mark
LAPD's
thinks all
actions
this is
from
good.
an incident the other night.
Or justified.
Specifically, there was a claim that LAPD delayed responding to a federal officer's request for
Mark
assistance
Green.
by more than 2 hours. When we heard that, I think anybody who's a police officer couldn't believe it, and certainly anyone with LAPD couldn't imagine how that would happen. Well, it didn't happen, and I just want to go into that just a little bit. LAPD was not given advance notice that the federal operations would occur in that area. As a result, we were not pre-positioned to respond immediately to unrest related to those actions.
Well,
Once
blame
the
your
call for
governor
assistance came in,
and your mayor.
He responded within 38 minutes, and that sounds like a long time, but I'll tell you why that is. The response was impacted by traffic, crowd density in the area with unrest occurring, hazardous conditions caused by tear gas that was previously deployed by federal agents at that location. Many of our officers, because it was put together in a mobile field force configuration without advance notice, were not equipped with gas masks. But despite these challenges, we moved in quickly and as safely as possible. At no point did LAPD ignore or intentionally delay any request for help. I also want to be unequivocally clear. The Los Angeles Police Department does not participate in or coordinate with Immigration and Customs Enforcement on civil immigration enforcement. We've said this over and over again, and I can't stress it enough for the people in our community who have high levels of anxiety about this issue, that we want everybody to believe and be
Everyone's
able to
got
call the
anxiety in
LAPD
California.
time of need. If they've been a victim of a
Oh, people with anxiety in our area. Everyone's got anxiety out there. Everyone's got a doctor. Everyone's on SSRIs. If not, they're using street drugs. Even the rich people. The rich people just get to go to the doctor.
crime or a witness to a crime. We need that. Otherwise, the system does not work. That has been our policy and remains our policy, and it went into effect in 1979.
Get 'em out, boys.
So
Here we go.
46 years ago, that's been the way we do business.
Line them up.
On the other hand, however, when a law enforcement agency, any agency, requests emergency
Here comes the
assistance
push.
to protect lives, we are obligated to respond, and we do. Public safety is our duty, and we will answer every legitimate call for help from anyone. We recognize that immigration enforcement
Scattering like
operations
roaches.
can cause a deep fear and anxiety, particularly in immigrant communities. That's why we're committed to transparency,
Bunch of tough guys.
accountability, and treating every Angelino with respect,
Running for the
regardless of
hills.
their immigration status. Our job is not to divide communities or politicize law enforcement. Our job is simply to keep everyone safe. I want to express my sincere appreciation to all of our officers and partner agencies for their dedication and professionalism during these very challenging times. Their commitment to upholding the law, even in the face of hostility, is a reflection
Look at, they lit all that on fire. Fucking
We're working
idiots.
together to keep everyone safe,
Idiots.
our officers and the public alike, and this remains our top priority. We'll continue to support peaceful protests and enforce the law
Oh, yeah,
when
get 'em.
criminal acts occur. The LAPD
Lock 'em
remains
up.
focused on its core mission to protect lives, safeguard constitutional rights, and serve
Lock
every
'em up.
neighborhood in Los Angeles.
Let Mr. Ed boot him in the head.
Let me
Yeah.
open it up now for
Give him
any,
another one.
any questions you might have or any points that
Give him another one. Give him another boot in the head. Fucking asshole. You ain't going nowhere. You're fucking arrested. Finally, they arrested one. Lit a fucking fire.
Yeah, if I don't know what basis they used to make that decision, but if that was based on our what I delineated here about the perceived
Talk
lack of
to
response
Mr.
to a
Ed.
call by an outside agency, that
Those 3 or 4 horses were crip walking on that asshole's head. I shouldn't laugh. I don't want to see people get hurt. But when you act like a fucking moron and you try to hurt people and you destroy shit, you deserve what you get. As long as you don't die.
that did not happen. We did respond with mobile field force configuration, and just to explain
Bink.
that, a mobile field force
Fucking
is
horse
a
said,
configuration
"Hiya."
of people or officers within the organization that we bring in from around the city. We declare a tactical alert.
He thought he was going to walk away. The cop grabbed him by the backpack.
Radio
Nope.
calls to be able to come in, form up. They're trained in this tactic into a config.
That cop grabbed the backpack like it was fucking Mortal Kombat. Get over here. Fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable. I hope they get this under control before nightfall. It's going to be getting close. It's 8:13 or so in Cali. It's going to be more like 8:15 now.
Configuration of 4 squads. We don't engage in that activity, but again, we can't preclude them from doing that. They have every right to do
The
that.
ants go marching one by one. Hurrah.
Ask people in the
Hurrah.
community to trust the LAPD, that we're
No
not
doubt,
there for
Ray.
that purpose, and that if they have something they need us to be able to address, we're there for them. As far as the big picture of what can I recommend they do or not do, that's something. It's a federal issue, and
Yeah, those are gonna
federal
work.
Authorities have the right to be able to do what they're doing. As far as
That's gonna work.
people have worried about the
Idiots.
violence that we're seeing. This
Let's put a
violence
bunch
that
of
I
cones in the
discussed,
way. Knock
it's
down their
escalated
side.
now, since the beginning of this incident. What we saw the first night was bad.
Don't stand them
What
up.
we've
Put them
seen
on their
subsequent
side.
To that is getting increasingly worse and more violent.
They're
Tonight
so
we had,
fucking ill.
Individuals out there shooting commercial
Mentally ill.
fireworks at our officers. That can kill you. And we have adapted our tactics to be able to have a chance to be able to take these people into custody.
They don't even put the blockades up right. Like, they're so fucking stupid, they're putting them on their side.
It's escalated now since the beginning of this incident.
Fucking ding-dongs.
What we saw the first night was bad. What we've seen subsequent to that is getting increasingly worse.
That's gonna work.
Violent. Tonight we've seen people with hammers, and you broadcasted breaking the bollards behind the federal building and taking the
Oh, they're breaking. People have hammers and they're breaking concrete from places, and that's how they're getting some of the stone to throw. Real nice. More property damage. To hum rocks at people. But it's a peaceful protest.
rocks, if you will, or pieces of concrete, and throwing them at officers.
Ripping out
Liquid,
through people.
who knows
Look at them
what,
raiding people's cars.
Thrown at officers.
Getting ready to light a car on fire that don't belong to them.
To what they're doing to our officers. And again, as I mentioned in my statement, I can't thank our folks enough and our partner agency police officials for going out there and taking care of the community and trying to be able to put themselves between the threat and the overall community. And they do this night
Keep
in,
marching,
night out.
boys.
And these past couple
I don't know
of
why
nights,
they
we've seen
stopped.
it,
Keep
at
going.
a level that I think disgusts every good person. Thank you, sir.
Keep going. Why'd they stop? Keep driving them out.
Well, you know, it's an interesting question, because I would have said that you know, we could handle this. I believe that we would have gone through a number of steps before we'd have deployed the National Guard or requested deployment of the National Guard. We would normally go to 50% deployment to handle radio calls and do the business of policing, and everybody else would be focused on the initial problem. Beyond that, then we would request through the sheriff mutual aid, and that would bring in members of the 44 other police departments in LA County, as well as the sheriff's office. And so
what
that
a
didn't occur in
fucking
this case,
zoo.
because it wasn't done through the sheriff or through the up through the normal chain. It was done from the top down, from the president directing that happened, and then the National Guard was federalized. So they're working for the U.S. Army, not for the California State National Guard.
No shit.
Do we need them? Well, looking at it tonight, you know, this thing has gotten out of control.
Yeah, you might want them.
I think before I could answer that, I'd have to know more about what their capabilities are, what their role is intended to be able to make that determination. But we have great cops in Southern California here that work together all the time. So we have tremendous capability here. To say that we would go to that right away, I'd say we're not. We wouldn't have been there yet. Looking at the violence,
yeah, you're lucky, Maki.
I think we got to make a reassessment. I'd say very little, other than we had a conference call this afternoon. There aren't a whole lot of soldiers in place at this time. They're still incoming. But the people who are here...
fucking idiots. Look how they made the barricade.
Americans here...
This is how you know these people are not very bright. Look at this barricade. It's all on its side. They didn't even complete it. Fucking idiots. Idiots. What the fuck is that supposed to stop?
Trying to do, you know, provide their service, doing the task that they're charged with.
Just saying.
Our relationship has...
I'm glad they're as stupid as they are, but...
with the National Guard. We worked right alongside them for 5 months during the Palisades fire. They were there every day in the beginning in large numbers, and then that narrowed down before they demobilized. But the relationship is overall tremendous. We're very, very good partners with them, and I hope they feel the same about us.
Can't fix stupid.
You know, I think, you know, the federal agents are enforcing federal immigration law, which is their right, and anybody can have their personal opinion on you know, to what level that should be, who should they focus on, and those kind of things.
The law is the law.
On that, because really that's not our focus, not our job. But when I look at the people who are out there doing the violence, that's not the people that we see during the day who are legitimately out there exercising their First Amendment rights and to be able to express their feelings about the immigration enforcement issue. These are people who are all hooded up. They've got a hoodie on. They've got face masks on. They're people who do this all the time, get away with whatever they can, go out there, you know, from one civil unrest situation to another, using the same or similar tactics frequently, and they are connected. Some would call them anarchists or by any other variety of names, but they're people that we run across routinely, city to city, and this is what they do. So even more disgusting that many of the people.
Well, gee, you might want to make them a terrorist organization.
People and to cause havoc.
Might want to put them in jail so they stop doing it.
Do you think that the presence of National Guard increased the level to this kind of situation? You said that it's disgusting. Do you think that if you control it without them, it's going to be different?
At least the chief had some balls.
That's a very interesting question. What was the catalyst for us seeing the second and third day of this becoming increasingly more violent? To be able to say it's because of the National Guard, I can't because there aren't enough on the ground at this point.
There's no National Guard anywhere.
I've seen
very few.
civil unrest a number
Blaming
of
the
times
National
before.
Guard.
Generally, the second and third days are more violent than the initial phase.
Leave it to a liberal
So
to
this
blame
is
anyone
not,
but themselves.
Not much different from that pattern, but certainly I think there's a number of things that cause people to come out. Much of it is they watch this and see it on TV, social media, whatever social media outlets they follow, or asking them or telling them to come down and be part of this, and they do that. And they come out here, and many come out and just want to see what's going on. They're out there with their cameras, but they're putting themselves in harm's way. And
Absolutely right. I
setting
agree.
themselves up for a criminal future. When you look at some of the things that are happening here, somebody could easily be killed. And if you're part of that,
Yep.
then you're going to be facing those charges as well. I talked to the DA just a couple of minutes ago, and the DA will file felony charges on
They stole a
individuals
fence.
where it's appropriate, but won't be shy about
Where the
doing
fuck
that
they
where
get a
it's
fence
appropriate.
from?
And also the potential for federal charges, given the type of
What the
environment
fuck?
we're in. And the federal authorities don't.
Where the fuck did you steal a
So
fence?
as we move forward, I think people will be surprised in some cases for what happens to their future.
Let's go through more questions. Anybody that hasn't asked already, go ahead. Do you know the amount of officers that you
Yeah, thank you for that question. A great question. It was, how does the deployment of so many officers downtown or in any one part of the city affect our ability to provide police services citywide? It greatly impacts our
It affects
ability
the whole
because
city.
It pulls officers who would normally deployed in communities around the city of Los Angeles into one area in order to be able to address the threat that we're facing. And so other areas, when we go on tactical alert, that means we only handle radio calls of significant importance, meaning a violent crime in progress, calls that have to be answered right away. So the other calls get put on a queue and may not get handled for some time to come.
Yep.
And they're important to everyone who is a victim of any kind of a crime. And so when we go to tactical alert, we don't do it lightly, but in this case, we did it very quickly because we needed additional resources right away to be able to help quell the violence. And that situation, as you can see tonight, has only gotten worse.
About not being informed, so you can please stage for the incident that started.
My thing, another thing people don't realize, we'll talk for a minute. How many people that really need the police to come to their house for an emergency aren't getting any help right now? If all the other cops are down in fucking LA, downtown, what about the people that need a cop if something bad's happening? That's the worst part, in my opinion. They're not gonna come to other crimes that are going on unless it's a really bad one. If you're lucky, maybe you won't lose your life. Nuts. I told you guys, Democrats were going to continue to do what they do. I told you, nothing was going to change.
Thank you for the question. I spoke with the sheriff today, and we discussed.
They would
the
double down on
possibility of,
stupidity every chance they got.
curfew. We don't rush into doing that, but if we need to do that, I'll go back with the sheriff and we'll look at the.
Oh, they're
options
making
as far
another
as that
push.
goes. And as far as give me the second part of the question again.
10 arrests today,
Oh,
29
gotcha.
last night.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. Absolutely. When you look at the numbers of arrests we've made, pale in comparison to what will be made. There are video
They all
accounts of
screwed.
what happened everywhere on social media, on individuals' cameras, iPhones. We will go after that. Very aggressively go after the all available video, analyze that video, and hold whoever we can accountable for the variety of different.
That
types of
barricade
crimes
didn't last long.
and that's something we'll do with a number of different partners with levels of expertise that may be beyond what we have. Thank you for that.
Do you have the specifics? So yesterday, the 29 folks were for failure to disperse. They were all arrested today. So today, so far, this is very preliminary because there's so much stuff going on. The stuff that we know is one person was arrested for throwing a Molotov cocktail at an officer, a significant incident, and then another individual for ramming a motorcycle into one of our line where the officers were and injured one of the officers. Everything else is still very fluid, and I won't have that for a while. So CHP has made at least 17 arrests that I'm aware of in the freeway.
All right, thank you, everyone. Commander Hurtado will stick around to do comments in Spanish for anybody.
Lock them up. One of them fell. Or got hit with a rubber bullet.
Police Chief Jim
Now he needs help.
Discussing his department's response to the unrest and the protests.
Shot me with a rubber bullet in my ass.
Around downtown Los Angeles. Of note is that we're getting an indication now of the injuries that have happened. 3 police officers, 3 LAPD officers have been injured. None of them transported, and at least 10 people have been arrested so far.
People are crazy.
And today, one for throwing a Molotov.
You know you're doing something right when people make fake accounts about you.
Into a skirmish line of police officers, but again, the officers that were injured were not transported. Some 29 people arrested last night. CHP has arrested some 17 people. There are arrests being made, and he says there will be more in the future. With regard to the National Guard response, one reporter asking whether we need the National Guard at this stage of the game. He said, the chief said, the first 2 days, it didn't appear that way. I'm paraphrasing. There are normally a number of steps that are gone through before the National Guard is requested. He would have requested mutual aid from different departments, a cooperative effort with the LA County Sheriff's Department. Those things had not yet happened before the National Guard was called in. So he says, we wouldn't have been there yet. That's a direct quote. With regard to whether they're needed tonight, he says he's going to have to reassess and look at how
it's a couple weirdos, Jet.
From Air 7, how things are going.
Whack jobs.
At, a parking lot pay booth there that has been set afire by some of the people there. More information coming from the chief shortly, but let's talk to our Gabe Santos in Air 7 about what he is seeing downtown. Gabe?
Well, they lit a pay booth on
Mark,
fire.
we're seeing a continued escalation of the situation.
I knew it. Here we go. Nighttime.
I'm just
fires everywhere.
Here with all the other helicopters up here. We have a number of media helicopters. We have law enforcement helicopters down below at a lower elevation. We have a little bit of a marine layer up above, just to give you an idea of everything we're keeping an eye on up here. We did see this line of mounted officers on horseback push north on Main Street, right next to the
I hear you, Ray.
Rivera Street in the area here, a little bit to the east of Chinatown. There was a barricade set up, and we saw protesters bring a piece of a wrought iron fence and set it down in the middle of the street. Protesters were set up behind that fence.
Blame poor little
decided
businesses.
to push forward with rubber bullets and other.
I'm sure it's not a little business that owns that, but
rounds and continue pushing
it's their fault too.
those protesters out of the way, and they actually just knocked the fence down, and the horses just kind of stepped over it and continued on past. Those protesters continued on towards Cesar Chavez Avenue, and they've kind of split up in all directions, and now we see LAPD kind of holding at this position, but it appears that they kind of moved forward so quickly that now there's protesters behind them, so you have a bit of a safety issue happening there now. Another wrought iron fence, it looks like, being ripped out of the ground. We've seen a number of situations like this where individuals are
more destruction
and shaking them back and forth and being able to, with a number of individuals, you could do almost anything. And
I knew they were stealing the fences from somewhere.
Things that are bolted to the ground. A number of people are just coming up and pulling fences, and we've seen traffic signs, wiggled back and forth to get them out of the concrete, and that's what we saw earlier over the 101 and Los Angeles Street. That's when a number of
that's going to block a lot.
Down at CHP cars. That situation has calmed down, but it just goes to show you there's still a number of hot spots here in addition to this one. And I want Rob to go back to that security post there. As LAPD kind of moved forward towards that barricade and pushed past, it appears they didn't really monitor what was going on in this parking lot here. Now you can see somebody has set fire to this pay booth in this parking lot, and with LA City Fire kind of nowhere in sight, they're at their fire stations. They're staying a little bit further away from the scene because of safety issues. Just as I say that, not LA City Fire, but LAPD with a fire extinguisher. They're just going to move forward with their fire extinguisher and put this thing out. So apparently they felt it safe enough with their riot gear. You see that officer there with his baton trying to push a protester back there. It appears that they've made the assessment that individuals in this parking lot appear to be pretty calm and pretty docile, in addition to a number of press in the area. It appears that a lot of those people down there that aren't law enforcement are in fact press. So law enforcement made the decision there to just come in with a fire extinguisher and put that little fire out that was in that parking booth. But it just goes to show you that there's still a number of hot spots here that LAPD is keeping an eye on. That's the intersection of Main and Alameda. Once LAPD pushed
they got dumpsters now.
down past Olvera Street to Main,
we're gonna have a dumpster match.
Just as I'm kind of
real fucking bright.
Just a few minutes ago, we see another barricade being put up with a number of dumpsters there. So people aren't leaving the area; they're just kind of scattering and regrouping.
Fucking
and then
morons.
We're continuing to see different little barricades get set up in different spots of town as LAPD kind of continues to push the protesters towards different areas here. We're seeing a little bit of a progression north into Chinatown, but we also have a large group, at least a few minutes ago, that I last had eyes on, that was south of City Hall at I believe that was Main and I think it was Main and First Street, and we might be a little too far away with the buildings in a way here to get eyes on that group there, but there was a group of about 500 people down on that side. However, that group of protesters, they weren't really doing anything that LAPD deemed to be a threat, so LAPD is really putting their focus on the protesters on the north side to continue to set up barricades. They really don't want anybody to dig their heels in and set up barricades.
They got to do something. It's just going to keep going on forever. Just going to run around in circles throughout LA all night.
Individuals fine, the harder it will be for LAPD to deal with it later on. Looks like that's the Spring Street Bridge that CHP now has been able to contain. And I think if we pan to the
that's true, Jet. Right?
There,
they don't even have fucking
we'll
water.
See the Los Angeles Street Bridge, and that's the bridge where a lot of protesters were throwing items.
That's Trump's fault too, I'm sure.
And you see that CHP vehicle on a tow truck. That CHP vehicle probably going to be a complete loss. It was actually set on fire earlier as people on the bridge above were lighting pieces of cardboard
correct,
on fire
Dorian.
and throwing them down to the vehicles below. So that CHP vehicle actually caught on fire a little bit before CHP officers were able to move in with a fire extinguisher and put it
They
out.
want to blame a guy all the way on the other side of the country.
A lot of debris just spread across the lanes of the southbound 101 freeway. So it's going to be a big cleanup here.
All right, and Gabe Santos, thank you for that. Let's keep that picture up right there, the picture you have. Because the chief in his press conference spoke about the difference between people who are out there expressing their First Amendment rights, expressing their disagreement and disapproval of the ICE raids of day laborers and others, versus the people who are out here doing damage. And he actually had physical descriptions of what some of those people look like, what they do, that some of them are from out of town, some of them are people who go literally from one position of civil unrest to another. And he described them, a lot of them, as having their faces covered, having hoods and covered faces. And we did see that among the people who were putting up this barricade. So with regard to how we look at them and we can describe their actions, we don't know whether this is protest or simply anarchy for the sake of it. So we're going to try to draw a distinction, if possible, between those who are out here expressing their disapproval versus the people that are doing things like this, setting fires and putting and barricading streets. So we're going to try to bore down into that particular aspect of what we're seeing. In the meantime, Jory Rand has been covering this for the better part of the afternoon and much of the evening, and has some more reporting for us now. Jory?
Mark, it's a frustrating scene to see play out here tonight. Those protesters, is it a demonstration of protest or is it unrest? And in some cases, as you mentioned, it might just be both. Someone who showed up for one now enjoying the other. It's frustrating to see this continue to play out, and the LAPD just allow this to happen. They are overwhelmed, as the chief heard. As we heard from the chief, that this is still going on, and as Gabe mentioned, once they break up one grouping, it just spreads out to another spot. So we're seeing this play out. We have that parking security booth on fire, and now we have obstructions in the middle of Main Street as this is being allowed to continue. And it would just, a lot of people want to see this end and these people taken into custody. Now, it has been a very eventful day in our city, likely one that we are going to talk about for a long time to come. Now, there are two very different aspects to what is happening this weekend in Los Angeles. Let's begin with what played out on the streets of LA. It was a very destructive day. Several clashes taking place outside the Federal Building. Once that crowd was broken up, demonstrators scattered and a large group made their way onto the 101 freeway. The CHP allowed them to remain there for about an hour. Traffic was stopped in both directions before officers finally moved in and slowly backed that.
I be driving. Get out of my fucking way.
Several arrests in the process.
I'm going home.
CHP vehicles were left exposed on the 101, and for hours we watched people on that overpass hurl everything from rocks and chunks of cinder block to concrete and electric scooters. They began lighting pieces of cardboard on fire and dropping them on them below. Even a bike was dropped onto a windshield, damaging the CHP vehicles. Now, the freeway takeover leading to some tense clashes between the protesters and officers. You can see one person being dragged away. This was in front of the Federal Building. That person had breached the line, had taken that officer's helmet. You saw him just put it back on there and dragged away.
Has stilts on like a moron.
And he remained somehow behind. He made his way back behind police lines and was eventually handcuffed and arrested as they worked to take off those stilts from his legs. Multiple methods of non-contact force also used: tear gas, blank shot, rubber bullets from LAPD off.
Well, I've seen enough for one night. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I may come back online in a little bit. I got to charge up my batteries. I've seen enough of this shit. I got to give it a break. Please like, share, subscribe. If I don't come on later, I will be on tomorrow for the NHL finals. Game 3. We'll be hanging out and watching it. We'll see. I might come back. I might not. If I don't, you guys have a good night.